Hello everyone, and welcome to the Wandering Inn, Bar Brawl! I really don't have an official classification for this. I guess it's a podcast?
That makes sense.
I'm joined here today by the ineffable Bentham, Mangled Pork, Bentham Plays, let's see if,
Beb, Bennett.
Beb,
I have many
Banat,
names.
Pangled
And-
Walk.
And I can't decide what I should be called on any platform.
Dude, I mean, you know, me too. Well, one of the things I was like, we'll get that whole branding thing out of the way really early, and then we'll just move on and be like, you know, every time you and me talk about our things, you know, our channels and our branding and stuff, it always ends up into a long list of all the different names we have on different places.
It does. It does a sheepdog, sheepy, the Wandering Inn, Daddy Sheepdoe, Asmo.
Yeah, it's
Did I miss any?
Sheepdog 42, originally on Twitter. Not anymore, but you know. So yeah, lovely to have you here, Bentham. Technically speaking, you haven't been on any of my shows yet, but more technically speaking, you have, I guess. We've done multiple shows together in the past, some of which you would randomly turn up for an episode if you hadn't been binge watching Game of Thrones. As a reference to the mage game.
Just some bad timing, okay?
No, I mean, you know, if anyone understands, like, being up all night and then finding it hard to make a thing, it would be me.
I have my hate watches. They're
Yeah.
important.
Oh yeah. Well, we can probably turn off the music here now. Yeah, I I woke up at 2 a.m. in like a fever sweat from being vaccinated. So, well, I had my first vaccination yesterday, and
Congratulations.
Oh, dude! It like all of all of today. Like every time I walk anywhere, like my entire body, like you know when you hit your funny bone, feels like that all over my body.
Oh no!
It's so ugh. But you know, it's a price to pay for the.
Well, yeah, it's all the feeling. It's all the bad feelings from your body fighting COVID without the having COVID. So
Yeah.
it's better than the alternative potentially.
Yeah. And you know, it's not super bad. It's just a little bit bad. Also, I didn't help myself by accidentally leaving my oven open earlier and heating my entire house, so I'm super like, yeah, just. Oof. Anyway, hello, Bentham.
Hello.
So we're essentially usually we talk about the show that the guest has been on. This time I think we'll probably talk over like roll for it shows and things you've done and things you might want to do or things you know, anything you can talk about basically.
Yeah.
And
like things I've been on that you've done, even if they're not actually on this channel.
yeah. And also just things you've been on really. Like I do have one question that I want to ask because I'm curious. And not because I'm nosy. I'm
There's a very big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was wondering, just to start us off with a difficult question, if you could go back to one of the Roll For It shows you've been on and replay it so you could play your character again but try and do it better, like, which one would it be?
Oh, okay.
Like, not necessarily do the show again, but like a character that you look back on from Roll For It and you're like, I think I could do that better now.
Well, in that case, yeah, what makes sense there is just to go back as early as possible. Like the further I go back, the more I'm like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing there. So it will probably,
Yeah,
it will
but
probably be
also,
Dark Heresy, the first thing I did, because I remember playing that and just like I had in my head what I wanted to do and
yeah.
like cool ideas, but usually it was for what I could have done 10 minutes ago.
Mm,
And
yeah.
yeah, at the time I was deer in the headlights, new to RPGs, and like I'd never shown my face on the internet before then. Like up till that
Right.
point, all I'd done was narrate Factorio videos,
Did
and so I was useless. But I knew what I wanted to do, and I wasn't able to put it together yet. And now I could. I could go back and be the Brander Thrail that I imagined when I made the character, not the one that ended up happening. Even though people like the one that ended up happening.
if I remember correctly, back then you didn't have the iconic goatee either, did you?
No, no, I didn't.
No.
That happened.
As soon as possible.
When did that happen? Well, yeah, no, yeah. What happened with that was there was a we went on break for Christmas. The thing is that I realized is like one day I was like, I want to try growing a beard. I think maybe like a I can do it now, and B it might be nice. I might like it.
Yeah.
But the problem was that when you try and grow a beard, there's the awkward phase where you just look like you're not taking care of yourself. And I mean, that is true, but I want to look like that isn't true.
Yeah.
So I waited till we were on break for Christmas to be like, all right, I got basically 3 weeks to grow a beard, so I can skip the step where everyone sees me with 1 or 2 weeks of beard.
Mm.
And then I came back with a beard. And then for the lulz, I shaved it off during the break of the show and pretended there was never any beard.
Uh,
But then everyone was like, "Oh, I really like the beard." Like
I like the beard,
everyone on
yeah.
the show, everyone watching the show, my family, everyone I know was like, "The beard was great. Keep it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll get it back then." So I did then awkwardly regrow the beard over the next few weeks, and then kept it ever since.
See,
Except last Christmas, I shaved it off for the same kind of joke.
okay.
And hated it. I never want to go. I'm never letting my beard go again. I'm sorry, beard. I betrayed you.
Well, speaking as someone who is unfortunately a hairy dude, um, like when you were talking about the awkward part where your hair's growing back, I was like, oh yes, the one day before I look like a wild hobo who lives in the mountains.
For me, it takes a while. I can't grow the side bits, by the way. I grow a goatee because that's what grows.
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
yeah, I have a Knorr patch. I think that's what I want to call it. Just like I'm sure you've seen it. When we're
I
in.
don't think
when
I
we're in
have.
Zoom.
I.
It's like just a little patch of like silver white hair on
Oh,
like
you
the
mean
bottom of
that,
my
right?
chin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's like it's a
Knorr
streak.
does it better.
Streaks
To
are
be
cool.
fair. You know I watched Knorr ages ago. This is a weird sidebar. I watched Knorr ages ago because of his Rogue Trader campaign. And when I saw him as he did like the intro to the first episode, and I saw him for the first time, I was like, he reminds me of the Predator. I don't know why.
I gotta look it up because I have not seen Knorr's face
You haven't seen
since,
Knorr?
funnily enough, Roll for It Dark Heresy.
Oh, okay.
Because
Yeah.
he guested. Also, he guested because I was off, which was the theme in the early days of Roll for It. When like before we rebooted and before kind of the modern iteration, once per campaign I would be off for an episode and they'd get a guest in. So I never met any of the guests.
Hmm. Well, that's Knorr. Which apparently isn't going to load.
Oh yeah, no, I remember now.
And for some reason, just like I think it's the hair. It just makes me think of the Predator from the Predator films. Which kind of
Okay, I see.
like I've said that before, but being a bit less careful about how I said it, and it's very it's very awkward to say Knorr reminds me of Predator or a Predator, and you're like, what?
It's not.
no,
it's not a look people aspire towards generally.
no, no, not so much. But yeah, in terms of God, I've already done a bad job. The first thing I said to myself when you were down for doing this was, okay, so I'm the podcast leader. I am the commander of this ship. I have to make sure that we don't go off on weird tangents for 5 hours, and I've already let it happen.
I mean, like, I don't know why you even tried.
I'm not. I'm going. I'm
Like,
gonna do my best. For anyone
this
who,
is the thing for people
yeah,
watching. The two of us on a regular basis accidentally talk for like 12 hours.
literally 12 hours. It
We
was
did it the other day. We did it after Last Ditch. We
off.
just
Yeah,
we accidentally chatted, and like I think the call ended up being a total of 16 hours, including the show.
yeah, yeah. So like the show went till like 10, 11 p.m., including like after show and etc. And then from let's be stingy and say from midnight to about 9 or 10 a.m. we were just sat in a Zoom call chatting about random stuff.
Hmm.
Um,
During that, I relayed to him the entire plot of Falcon and the Winter Soldier so far.
I hated it.
Yeah, deliberately making it as bad as possible to
the
hurt him.
the only way I could get my own back was talking about Batwoman and all the things Batwoman has done in her show, which
Oh,
it
dear.
doesn't hurt Bentham as much, but hmm. So as I was saying, the characters, the thing about the characters on Roll for It is like I'm sure the further back you go, the better you could do. Because obviously as you do role play and you play characters, you get better at playing characters and role playing. But
Yeah, that said, the I think the way Brander turned out, I don't know if I could do that today. Like, I
mm,
feel like he only came about because of uh like my deer in the headlights uh situation kind of converted into like a stoic, quiet, wise old soldier sort of thing.
yeah.
Which did kind of work. People were into it. Because usually I would take ages to think of something, but then it would be a good thing, and then I'd say it, and everyone would be like, "Ah, he has spoken. He has said a wise."
Well, I mean, like, this is the thing is, just because that's the one you could improve on the most doesn't mean it's the one that, like, you enjoyed and also think you could do better. It's like a weird mix of, a whole load of things. Like, some of my earliest characters were quite basic, and I'm like, yeah. But there are other characters that I like enjoyed a lot more, and I'd like to go back and do better.
I can think of a character actually, and this is still very like it's still that era, but a little bit later. But a particular one that I remember,
Hmm.
as a character that I just screwed up entirely.
Oh, okay.
Was the character of Deadbolt from Roll for It Shadowrun Season 2, which was the first one that I was in.
Hmm.
Um, I wrote like a multi-page life story for an elf that was like 90 and had had a very like busy and complex life and all these things that happened to him, and I forgot to make it at all tie in to anything that was going on, and then wasn't able to RP any of it,
Yeah.
and the character ended up just being kind of generic fast boy. He does a run.
I mean that.
And not much else, and like throughout and at the end I was like, I goofed that one entirely. There was nothing
Yeah.
interesting about that character.
But the beautiful thing is, no one knows about that because it's like if it doesn't come out in the roleplay and you can't manage to get it out,
Hmm.
it's just stuff that you
But
did that. I mean, until now
but
when you told
that's
everyone.
part of it is like no one remembers Deadbolt. I had to take a second to remember his name because he was so forgettable and irrelevant that he did. I don't think he contributed much to the campaign or anything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and I know I could do that better now. I know I could make that work now.
Mm. Yeah, that's the type of thing. I'm kind of the same on where I'm like, there are some characters I'd be like, I could go back and I could contribute more or do better in the show or whatever. Like my earlier characters were not as good, roleplay wise and stuff, but they also didn't really, you know, a lot of my earlier ones were like just me trying to fit into the team and just making like a
Mm.
mechanically useful character, and I didn't really think much about the roleplay as much. Whereas obviously now, like you've encountered a few of my characters when I'm a player. Um, there's not much mechanically useful about my characters, to be honest. There's a certain female mage who I don't know how much you met Liza, but she was a terror.
Not much, but I've heard many tales.
Yeah. But yeah, you know the one I was thinking of. Not to say you did it badly, but just because I think now you could probably bring a little bit more um what's the way to describe it? Anyway, your character in Layla.
Okay. Now
Like,
that
because I'd love to see you do that the situations and the scenes again with a bit more like confidence, I guess, and kind of like
I think I disagree on that one because
really,
this is what I was when I was thinking back, like, and going further back through the timeline. I passed by that one and was like, nah, because for me the way that whole show worked and the way Bobbert worked,
yeah,
um, I think the level of experience I had at the time was kind of perfect for it, or at least like somewhere during that run that it aligned perfectly. I think at the start I was a little bit green, and by the end of it, I was there
you were in your
for
zone,
for
yeah,
that, or maybe like getting past it and stuff. But like the thing about that character, and I think it's the case for a lot of us on Layla Vampire Slayer, was the characters were us
yeah,
more so than we would usually do, or that you're really meant to do.
mm,
Um, Bobbert was really just genuinely me as a teenager, but like taken to the extreme in both directions, in that like he was way worse than me, and he was also way better than me as a kid, in that like he was even more awkward and even more oblivious and all that kind of thing, but he was also a tech genius, like hell magic tech wizard thing, and could make all sorts of wacky, weird contraptions that shouldn't exist because hell magic. And I think, well, I love that because in a way, you shouldn't do this in RPGs. I feel
mm,
like, but it was cathartic. It was a good way to kind of this is getting real deep now. It was a good way to kind of come to terms with my time in school.
yeah,
Like I had a good time, but I was a massive nerd and I was
yeah,
awkward and I was oblivious, and it was not the best, and a lot of the stuff I look back at I cringe at horrifically and try and pretend that it didn't happen, and I'm glad that I don't know most of the people that were around me at that time anymore, and they've
yeah,
probably forgotten about me. Um, and so living as Bobbert, I got to like, I guess playing something worse, but then like yeah, a character that was even worse than that, um, but was also great in other ways. I think made me feel better about it.
mm,
It's a kind of thing about weaknesses and strengths, and like you're bad at what you're bad at, but that's okay because you're good at what you're good at, and that kind of thing. And I think like I don't think I could do that again. That's part of it. Is like if you
that's
asked me to
fair,
just
yeah,
do Layla Vampire season 1 again right now, I don't think I could do it anywhere near as well. I think I would do it way worse. Because now I've got too used to playing characters in RPGs. I think what worked with that is a lot of it was just kind of me. I was just kind of channeling myself, but like a younger version of myself, and I don't know if I can do that as much anymore because I'm just too into the RPG world now. If that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because like my initial thought was like the characters of Layla, obviously, Roll for It has this whole thing of Layla being one of the like I guess iconic might be the right word, where it's kind
Hmm.
of like, I think there's still a thing in the Discord, right, of for Layla.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The room still exists, and
Yeah,
my reasoning is that people still talk in there, so why would I get rid of it?
yeah, yeah.
And it was such an important show. And it basically, like, it was kind of the defining show of this iteration of Roll For It. Roll For It's been through kind of a few evolutions in like over the years, and like the big reboot happened where we shut down all the shows. We stopped for like 2 months, maybe even
Mm.
3, and then we came back with Layla, and
That's a really
we
good way
thought
to
it was
come
a
back.
yeah. But the thing is, we at the time what we thought was it was a kind of steady return. We're like, all right, right, we'll start with this thing. It's a cool idea. We'll run it for a little bit, and then we'll do this other bigger thing. And then we did Layla, and it did amazingly. And we're like, oh, this is great. This is more of this. We'll just do more of this.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
So to get rid of the room would, like, I think a lot of people are like they arrived during that time, and so to get rid of the room they would lose that bit to chat in, and people rewatch it and stuff all the time. A
yeah.
lot of people go back to it,
Uh,
and the joke is that it's because season 3 is happening at any moment.
well, I included a Layla meme in the last
Yeah,
ditch.
Leyland 3.
Leyland 3. It's a dead world.
Yep.
There's nothing there.
That is the thing. Is like I don't think like to jokes aside with that, I don't think we can go back to it now
No.
because it's been too long. Like, not only have we forgotten where our characters were, and we've lost the mindset that they were in at the end of season 2. I don't know if I can do that again because I've changed so much since then. And I'm in a very different place in terms of role playing, and that I've done more than twice as much role playing now as I had back then, probably 3 times more or even more
Mm.
than that.
Well,
And you
also,
evolve, and I don't think I can be Bobbert anymore in the
yeah.
same way that I was then. I don't know if I can really do it justice. I think I should just leave it there.
Also, sometimes like you just manage to capture something when you do a show.
Yeah.
It's like if they tried to do Firefly again now, or if they tried to do like any show that had like a short run was popular and then kind of like dropped off for ages. It's like if you then try and do it again, you just can't capture the same.
Yeah.
You end up
It's the thing. A
you
lot of
end
people always ask for sequels, but then often they don't like them when they
yeah.
happen because it's never what you were hoping for.
Well,
Uh,
it's usually because the people doing them, not to like criticize them because it's almost unavoidable, but you do pretty much like if you guys were to try and do Layla now, you'd all be trying to play those characters instead of roleplay. You'd be trying to like
yeah, we're focusing so much on getting back into those characters.
yeah, you wouldn't be role playing. You'd be like playing a character who almost isn't yours anymore in a weird way. It's weird, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah, you'd have to go back and research your own RP to remember how it works.
Mm, yeah. I had another one though. If you had to, okay, so I've reworded my questions how I'm gonna phrase this to you because I know what you're like. So
Okay.
instead of if you could go back and GM any of the Roll For It shows yourself, instead I'm gonna say if you had to go back and GM one of the Roll For It shows yourself, which one would you choose?
Oh no,
Interesting.
that's tough. I mean, it depends. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, I guess, because it could be like if I consider the systems, then I'm like I'm not super into GMing any of the systems that I've played, apart from I will actually
I mean, you don't.
there are some like
Yeah.
like if I like a system, I usually and I feel like I could GM it. I've usually given that a test run with the Roll For It Legends,
Mm.
and so I've GM'd Stars Without Number, and I've also GM'd Fusion, which is the Steven Universe RPG.
Yes.
Like I mean, like if I GM'd like our Stars Without Number show, I would do it entirely differently. It would just be, it would just be me doing Stars Without Number, and I would do something else than what he did with it.
Oh yeah, totally.
But
I
it's
mean,
not
that's
that I want to change it. I think that was a good show. It did get unfortunately cut off because that was when the reboot happened. So we never kind of got to fully realize that, which was a shame. But I don't think I could redo that
obviously
the way that E did it better.
Yeah.
But I could do something else interesting with the Stars in that number.
Yeah.
I'd also would have been super down with GMing Fusion as well because I'm super into that. I love Steven Universe, which is weird because I only started watching it after the last Steven Universe things came out. I missed the boat entirely, and then I binge watched the entirety of everything Steven Universe ever in like 3 months just after it had finished. Like, I think what probably happened actually was people made YouTube videos about the finale of the final season.
They really
and
did.
that like made it appear in my my recommendeds, and then I watched random videos and I'm like, oh, I'm into this actually. I should watch more. And then I watched all of it. So I'm my brain's all over that, and more recently than most people would be. So I'm hyped about the idea of that.
I got so many recommendeds in my like, you know, homepage, YouTube homepage, which was like why I love Steven Universe, except for like the last episode, which I'm not super happy with. And I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, at least they didn't slowly decline until the last season, where they just absolutely destroyed everything.
I know, yeah. Is it the funny thing for me is I think, I mean, the way that I often experience TV shows and stuff is I watch random clips on YouTube out of order.
Yeah.
And I think possibly the reason why I'm not at all disappointed by Steven Universe was because I spoiled myself on the ending before I even understood what it meant. And then
that helps,
I watched everything knowing what happened, and that meant that I was completely happy with it. Like, I already knew where we were going. I think the problem for a lot of people was they had an expectation of where it was going to go. So when it didn't go there, they were sad. And the reason it didn't go there is because networks are the worst. And they're like, we're shutting you down. And then we're like, wait, actually, we're not shutting you down. People really like this show that is our most watched. It's weird, right?
Yeah. we could get into all of my gripes with media and networks.
Yeah,
and
I'm just sad because there's an alternate universe somewhere where Steven Universe went for 7 seasons and wrapped everything up that it wanted to, and maybe ended with a movie for a nice bang, and that was it. And instead, it kind of stumbled over the finish line because it had a sort of ending, but then there was a movie, and then there was another season.
It was
very weird.
All a bit janky, really, from what I've heard.
Also, Vo makes a good point in chat. Is that anyone who bought the racial justice bundle that was like that was a thing last June on Itch.io and had like 1,400 things in it donated by various people? That includes Fusion. Fusion was made by Random Tuesday, and she put it on there.
Oh. I didn't know Fusion was actually made by Random Tuesday.
Yeah, because there isn't a system. There is no RPG out there that I'm aware of for Steam Universe. And Lauren was like, well, this is dumb. I will make one then.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm kind of doing that at the moment for a show that's going to be on here in the near future.
I mean, I'm very, very slowly muddling my way through doing that for the video game Kenshi, because I'm like, this would make a good RPG. I'm going to make the RPG. Oh no, I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, sometimes those projects get a little bit, like the mountain you keep building. So yeah.
And like I knew going in it would be a huge undertaking, but I'm like, I'm going to start on this, and then I'll work on it if I want to, or I won't if I won't if I don't want to, and then either it'll get made or it'll, a half-finished version will sit on my hard drive forever, and that's okay. It's an exploration in RPG building and thinking about concepts, and it teaches you a lot about how RPGs fit together when you just like challenge yourself to make one.
Yeah, I
think really somewhere, really where my soul is, I think, is in designing board games. And I've never quite got there. Maybe one day I will.
Do you know Oil Man? It's a board game.
I don't.
It's reasonably simplistic. You have like a kind of box which you shake, and it's got loads of like little kind of slidey bits inside it which you can't see, and it's got the world.
Okay.
It's got like the world on a map, and you can spend money to like dig for oil, and you have like 3 different lengths of oil drill. And if you find oil, you can like buy territory and start
I'm
drilling
into
for oil.
this.
My
I like this idea.
I'm not sure it ever got made actually.
Oh
But
no.
we have copies because my parents' friend made it, and yeah, it's a fun game. Random fact.
Okay. I'm looking it up now because I'm like, this is a neat idea. I want it.
Yeah, it's a nice little like reasonably simple. You know, it's not to the length of things like Dead of Winter and
Okay, I looked it up and I got one from 1994.
sounds about right.
Oh, okay. I assumed it was more recent.
Oh no, it's an
Well, maybe a bit
older
jank
one.
then. So, board games have evolved in recent decades, I found.
Okay, so yeah, the Oil Man game 1994. That's the one, and you can see like all the holes in the world. You like it has its own like wipe off pen.
So yeah, so the slide you shake the thing around, it slides the things under the holes, and then
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool.
and you can see it's got like
See, like it's kind of making me think of like a battleship, but oil, which is like everything
yeah,
that America would ever want.
it is actually a little bit like that. Weirdly. Um. So yes. Roll for it, and things you've done and things you think. Do you think if you got the Kenshi thing running, you would like run it as a show, or do you think, or like even want to run it as a show, or would it just be something you want to do for the sake of doing it and then?
That is the funny thing about it is that like 99% of the RPG playing I've ever done has been on camera.
Same.
Like and all my GMing has kind of been to an audience in a way, and I'm doing it to entertain a group of people.
Yeah.
Because it's the Legends rather than just kind of doing it as a friendly activity. And yet, I think what my Kenshi board game idea will be best for is chilling with your friends, like just in your house once a week,
Yeah.
and doing it that way. So it's kind of weird. I'm not designing it for any of the experience I have or any of the oh my monitors just died.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, you still there? We may have lost Bentham. Give him a second. So yeah, if you don't know, Bentham is one of the admins of Roll For It, another roleplay TTRPG channel, who do lots of different shows. One of which I am currently GMing. I am GMing The Last Ditch on Roll For It. It is it's basically OnlyWar, with the usual sheepdog twist where it's like quite often when people do OnlyWar they follow like a squad of people. The classic one of course is well, that's not even OnlyWar. I was gonna say the All Guardsman Party, but that's Dark Heresy, isn't it? I thought I saw the icon move to indicate Bentham was back, but I don't think he is. So yeah, the classic OnlyWar kind of setup is following a squad during a war, and you have like a very focused view. Whereas the Last Ditch is much more kind of like, look at the entire war over multiple planets, and we'll jump in and join. Oh, there goes Bentham. He'll be back. Yeah, we'll like join a group of guardsmen who jump in and fighting like a little snapshot of the war. And how easy would it be to play through a war from another setting using only war? Probably quite difficult. You'd have to use a lot of you probably have to use a lot of what are they called? Like custom. You'd have to customize stuff because otherwise you'd have like, you know, if you wanted to make it World War Two, then all of your World War Two soldiers in the U.S. Army would be using las guns and stuff, and the homebrew. There we go. Thank you. And the the Germans would be going, oh, crumpet. Ooh, I was gonna use my Go XLR. I'm not sure what setting I'm on currently, so it's very possible that I wouldn't be able to find my orc setting, which has a bit of a you know, like reverb and etc. I just end up sounding like Moby. So yeah, now I have to vamp for a while until Bentham gets back. So I may just get a bit closer and talk to chat. Hey chat, how's it going? If you use it for World War II, change the name of the weapon. They wouldn't feel like those weapons necessarily, though. Is the problem? Fucking Moby. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a while since Moby. I don't know. I wonder if I do have. Oh, no, not this one. This one? No, that's not Moby.
This one? No. This one? No. This might be my orc one. Yeah. I think this is my orc one. There you go. That's my orc one.
What about this one? Oh, there we go. There's Moby. Hello, how's it going? It's nice to see you. How's everyone doing? Bentham's just restarting his computer, so it won't take him too long when he'll be here again. For now, just sit back and enjoy the show. And I'll do my best not to eat the moon. Yeah, Moby was a lot of fun. Moby was a lot of fun. So I guess for a little bit while we wait for Benat to get back. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. While we wait for Bentham to come back, it's Chaos was an interesting time, and Bentham was actually in Chaos Lost, which was the second iteration of the Chaos saga. The first being Rogue Trader Lost. I guess it was the Lost saga, maybe. Yeah, Rogue Trader Lost was something that we realized, like, it was a lot of fun, but Rogue Trader has a lot of. It's nice to have stability in Rogue Trader so that you can do lots of really cool things, and all the insanity was basically adding up to all the insanity was adding it up to a kind of like a lot of fun but not sustainable. Yeah. As in terms of any 40k RPG shows I'd recommend, aside from the Total Biscuit Dark Heresy one, I would say Knorr's Rogue Trader is a lot of fun. Yeah, I think the problem is with me having run so many 40k shows, I watch a lot of people who do 40k shows, and I'm like, I have to basically go like, you're not doing it right, you know? And that's a little bit like when you have a show where a fight takes like 2 or 3 episodes, that kind of it's perfectly fine if that's the type of thing you're looking for, but at the same time it's like, you know, yeah, if you're looking for and okay with a show that's like very combat heavy and very crunchy and etc. But I find for the most part people want a nice mix of combat and drama and role play and everything. Do you ever grow tired of 40k after having done so many shows of it? Weirdly, no. The nice thing about the older 40k systems is they all have something different. You know, you have Dark Heresy, it's like intrigue and a little bit of VTM in it, in its kind of like political and mystery and whatnot. OnlyWar is in a really fun like war and Imperial Guardsmen and all that stuff. Rogue Trader is like playing Stellaris in the 40k's, you know, setting essentially. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I wouldn't say they weren't doing it right, although I know I did say that. But it's more like if you're doing a show, you're doing a show is different to like playing a game and recording it. You know, like if a group of friends play Dark Heresy and record it and put it out there, and they're like, hey, if anyone wants to watch this, go nuts. You know, that's cool. But if you're trying to put on a show with the express purpose of like entertaining and etc., like 40k can be rough for that. Where you're just like, oh okay, yeah, you beat a demon and everyone runs away for 20 turns, and then the fight takes 2 hours of just missing and dodging and missing and dodging, and then mitigating hits, and then, you know, etc etc. It's like all of the early 40k tabletop systems were designed with the mini games war game in mind. So yeah, it's very very crunchy because it's written as if it was an extension of the war game. What book TV series is the one you go back to for relaxation? Oh, books for me is the Discworld series every time. I've like, there are some Discworld books that I've read probably over 100 times. Just checking in with Bentham. He restarted his computer and it didn't fix it. So for TV series, it's interesting. One thing I can say, even though I really don't like it, when I'm ill, you know, and like feeling really, really crappy, I'll actually watch The Big Bang Theory. It's weird, I know, but it's so bad that it's like it doesn't matter that it's really bad because it's designed to be easily consumable. So when you want to like switch off your brain, you can just have it there and be like, ugh, ugh. So it's not really relaxation though. It's more like it's more like something that my brain can just switch off and have it on, and I barely pay attention. Maybe it's like white noise. Like all the laugh track on The Big Bang Theory is just white noise that like slowly dips me into a zen state. With 40k, I dip into the lore sometimes and get burnt out by how relentlessly dark it all is. Do I ever have issues with it? No, because I mean, if you've seen any of my 40k shows, you'll have seen how I will literally just be like like all of my shows have an aspect of absurdism to them. So it's like a dark setting where people die all the time, and it's horrific, and it's dark, and it's grimdark, and it's, you know, it's just depressing and everything like that. But I tend to find that really accentuates the comedy and the silliness, because if you think about 40k seriously. Okay, it looks like we should be getting Bentham back in a bit. If you look at the lore and everything about the 40k universe seriously, you realize that like it is really dark and really grim. Especially a lot of the stories, they're like super dramatic and like, you know, people dying horrifically all the time. But it's also really funny. You know, it is ridiculous in like the purest sense of the word. And it like, if you get super invested into the dark side of the dark side of the lore, the real question is whether Bentham shaved in between podcast appearances. That'd be weird because there's no cams on this, so and also I let him tangent me, so we haven't.
Hello.
Oh, there you go.
That was an adventure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as if you were in the middle of a show and then your power went out for the next day or so. That would suck.
That is the thing. There was one finale in early Roll for It days. I think it might even have been Dark Heresy, where my my laptop was updating for like an hour and a half in the middle of it.
Yeah. It happened to me on The Lost Ditch.
Yeah, I just had a whole journey happen. All of the monitors failed, and then everything came back up, but now my desktop was on the rightmost monitor and all the other monitors were off.
Yeah.
Did a restart, came up on my 4x3 monitor that's on its side on the left. I'm like, I can't work like this. Everything's sideways. I'm squished. It was a tiny resolution. All my icons are out of place. Thank God they came back when I switched it off again, unplugged everything but the monitor that's meant to be on, and then it loaded the desktop in the right place.
Well, you're back now, and that's what's important.
That was. Yeah, it took a minute. Did a Windows update in the middle of that as well. You know.
Yeah, like I was thinking about restarting because I have a driver update, but I saw the Windows update thing like staring at me, and I'm like, last time I did that, I was sitting around for like half an hour plus. I was like, I'll just save it for later. So what were you talking about when you
I think the Kenshi system and how like I didn't design it at all for what actually is my experience, which is terrible.
But I mean, like, this is the thing: is doing something like that. Sometimes it's not about what you do with it. It's just about enjoying doing it and like learning as you go.
But that's another weird thing for me though, is that when it comes to RPGs, the few times that I've played it off camera, I've not been particularly, hyped about it. I'm like, I mean, there's no audience. What's the point? Because I'm used to that. I don't know how to play without an audience, so I'm always playing to an audience. So when there's no audience, I'm like, what am I playing for? I've got to work this out.
You feel a little silly vamping for the camera, inverted commas, when there's no camera and no one's watching, and you're like, why am I doing this kind of like bit in my roleplay? And yeah, like I'm exactly the same, because my first experience was a show. I've done a few like little offline things. I actually did I DM'd a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons 5e for my family at Christmas, which was a lot of fun.
Nice.
But Yeah, it's
None of my family care about RPGs.
mine neither really. It was a little frustrating when my mom's always like, just hold on a second, I need to go and flip the food, and I'm like, but you're fighting a troll, and she's like, I'm sure your brother can handle it, and my brother's like, no, I can't. He's beating my head in. So yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's something like I could. I think the thing that would make it doable in an offline session is doing it with people you do shows with, because that means that everyone's going to be of the same mentality. Whereas if you did it with people who like don't do shows, they don't do that type of thing, it probably end up very like surreal if you have people who are like third person role players who tend to go with, I do like my character does this, like I walk up to the goblin and say hello and then ask him about something, and
I was wondering if like a way to go about it would be to GM something for friends and do it that way, because then I'm there to entertain them, even though you're meant to kind of GM for yourself as much as them. I think I would enjoy it, so it would work that way. But the mindset would be more suitable because you're creating something for other people to enjoy.
I was going to say I don't think I've ever GM'd for myself, but then I was like, well, Moonkissed was kind of for myself. That was literally me just being like, yeah, I want to do this thing. Will you guys do it? And everyone was like, yep. And I was like, okay, cool, we're doing it. It's nice to be, when you get like a bee in your bonnet about something like that, it's nice to be able to just like jump in and be like, yes, do it. But yeah, oh god, we've never had a Benat GM'd Roll for It show.
No, I've never GM'd on camera.
Yeah,
I've co-GM'd where like I've done some back-end stuff, but I haven't actually run the sessions and that kind of thing. And I've GM'd for Legends and that kind of thing, but not on camera yet. One day.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you don't do it on Roll for It first, I will make you do it on the Wandering Inn.
You will.
I'll just be like,
it's only a matter of time. But what I wanted to like the same plan, the GMing something for friends, was also meant to be a chance to kind of get into GMing off camera, so I would feel ready to do it on camera. Basically, I had this entire plan of like, okay, I know what campaign I'm gonna GM. I have an idea of which friends to ask about it. I have the plan almost for how the plot will go, and then what I'll do is I will just do that again, but on Roll for It, or somewhere just on camera. So I will literally just do a trial run of GMing a particular story in a particular system, and then I'll do it on camera. And that seems like the smoothest way to get used to it. Is like, okay, I know what I'm doing because I've done it once. In like a no pressure environment. Now I just got to do it with cameras on me again, and I already know like the rough idea of it.
Yeah. Okay, so one of my kind of thoughts about like GMing and things like that is quite often people worry about like it's one of those things where it's like, I've never GM'd for a show before, or I've never GM'd, before. I don't know whether I should try and be like the Matt Mercer style of like lots of different voice acty characters, or should I go like more Jason Carl and go for kind of like not really accents or like really embodying the characters, but just like really good tone setting. Like Mathis is a great example of someone who sets the tone so well and like sets the scene. It's a little dip for Sounds of Silence there. Great show. VTM. Of course, it's not as good as Sunkissed, but what could you say? It's, you know. You did. Well, I'm not sure he almost GM'd for Chaos. I don't think there was ever going to be.
Oh no, I was never gonna GM for Chaos. I was sure of that. I can't take that kind of stress. I have like unending respect for Sheepy and all the others who volunteered to run an episode.
Well,
Because they like they put themselves up to do what I could and would not.
not to diminish the others' achievements, but you know, it was so funny. After they did one, they were like, "Dude, how do you do that on like a weekly basis?" And I'm like, honestly, I cannot. Like the silly thing about Chaos was, at the time, there was a point where I had the last ditch GMing. Did I have Bloodlost, or I think I had Sunkissed? I had the last ditch GMing. I had Sunkissed GMing, and then I had Chaos Lost GMing, and Chaos Lost, the 4-hour like GM
And that was
improv thing, was the last one in a series of 3 each day, like, you know, sequential.
And it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Sunday, Monday.
At least you
Tuesday.
ended with Chaos, because if you started with Chaos, the other two would have crashed.
Well, yeah,
Because
but
you would have crashed.
I mean, I crashed after Chaos a lot.
Yeah, you had 4 days to recover, and then you did it all over again.
Oh yeah. But yeah, towards the end, I was just grateful that we did a few like other things, because I was burning on fumes, where I was just like, oh god, I don't know. I just had 46 different chaoses to do. Where am I? Who's my name?
There are numbers being referenced as like thresholds for me GMing in the chat, but there was no real number. There may have been mentions of numbers, but every time I was like, no, there is no number you can ascribe to like.
To be fair, those numbers were chat going, what if this number? And you were like, no. And they were like, well, that must mean this number's viable. It's like, no, you're just saying numbers. It's there was never an agreement.
Like, I mean, probably there was a number that would work, because there's a certain point of ridiculousness where you're like, all right, fine, I'll at this point I'll do anything. If people wanted that much, fine. But like, it would have. I'm talking like 3 digits. It wouldn't have happened.
Would you GM a 40k show ever?
Actually, yes. I was gonna say no, but then I realized I already have one in mind. I mentioned this to you the other day, but there is a 1-pager RPG called Nice Marines.
Nice Marines, yeah. Well, I'm talking like, specifically Fantasy Flight Game ones.
Less sure about that. If I did it, I would do it, you know, like I would wipe out most of the crunch like you do, and I'd probably be very very wishy-washy about it and be like, all right, you roll D100s, and maybe other stuff matters if I feel like it.
Yeah, I mean that's how I GM it.
Yeah.
So we'll probably talk about it later, but I was thinking of a way I could do a thing for Roll for It. Like a little piece. We'll talk about it later, but essentially, like, people come to me and either ask me to GM for them for 40k, or ask me to show them how to GM 40k, and I'm like, I don't know how to GM 40k. I GM shows.
You GM Sheepy K. It's its own brand.
Yeah. It's
a homebrew of the 40k Fantasy Flight system.
Yeah, it's like someone asked in the Roll for It Discord whether Sunkissed was worth watching, and I was like, I don't know. It's very sheepified. Like, people will go into it expecting VTM, which is what it is, but I do so much like custom lore and things that I think are a good idea and stuff like that. People will like watch it and be like, that's not lore accurate. And I'm like,
yeah, because if someone
yeah.
watched only that, then it wouldn't give them a very good understanding. Like, it would give them a lot of a good understanding of BTM, but then they wouldn't know what was and wasn't real. But like as part of a suite of things to watch, I think it totally works.
Yeah.
Because it's an example of, like, you know, a particular different take on it.
Frenchie in the chat said the way you GM can't be taught, you're just born with it. And I've got to disagree. But then I remember chaos, and I'm like, I have no idea how I do that.
I think there's a level of born with it. It's everyone's got their own kind of way to tell a story, and that's what you draw on. I mean, I guess you probably get it from somewhere other than birth, but like you're never gonna know where you got it from, and by the you get it earlier than you can really. I think you can change how you GM, but I think, you know, the core of the way you want to GM comes from, you know, like childhood probably, and just how you would tell stories to other kids in the playground and that kind of thing.
So Bentham can attest to this in that I have a very interesting brain whereby someone will say something or be like, oh, this, you know, lettuce. And I'll go off on this weird brain tangent and then message Bentham at like 3 a.m, be like, Bentham, I've got a fucking idea.
Yeah, your brain is a like TTRPG idea machine. You just throw any random junk into it, and an RPG idea will come out.
Yeah, very much so. So there's been times when like I've had an idea at 2 a.m. and I like work on it for a little bit, and I'm like, this seems viable and like a fun thing, but it's not for me, it's for Bentham. So I like message Bentham, I'm like, Bentham, this is an idea I have, take it. And I like throw all the shit at him, and he's just like trying to hold it in his arms, like, what is all this crap? I'm like, don't worry about it, bye, and then run off, and he's like, what just happened? So yeah, it's but you know, like, I've got a notepad just full of like TTRPG ideas and stuff, which I'll probably never get done. And sometimes when I talk to someone, I'm like, oh, this person would really rock this idea. So I just throw them the idea, and I'm like, you know, if you want to do that, just feel free. And yes,
Sheepy's brain is a black box. You just like you put stuff in, and then random stuff comes out, and you don't know how it got to the things that it got from the things that you put in, but the things that come out are generally useful.
It's like the story writing for Family Guy in South Park with the walruses.
I don't know this, so it sounds extremely surreal.
It's basically they have, I think they're seals or walruses or something like that. Maybe they're whales. I don't think they're whales. And they have the manatees. Yes, the manatees. So they have manatees who have a box full of balls with words on them, and they go and they take the balls and they put them into another box, and the Family Guy writers craft a joke out of whatever the manatees, you know. Like,
why is it manatees, and also why is Vo referring to them as the dissected manatees?
I don't know. I don't remember them being dissected.
I'm concerned.
But no, it's just like my brain is like, you know, zombies, post-apocalyptic, you know, blah blah blah.
I mean, your brain's usually better than that. It doesn't just blurt out the like the idea for every 2015 video game.
Oh yeah. No, true. But you know, it's just it's just one of those things where like I watched Love and Monsters a while back, and when I watched that, I was like, I would love to run a TTRPG in this setting. And then like came up with like how it would run and what the, you know, basics would be, and Like I was like, oh man, I'd love world building this as well because it's got so many weird and wonderful creatures in it. Because I don't know if you know Love of Monsters.
I've not actually seen it, but you told me about it.
Yeah, it's got a whole load of like mutated animals. There's this really cool like giant frog that that is like squatting in a pool, in like a algae pool, and just like comes up and you're like, wow, that's yeah. So the problem with doing this is like you can't really talk about future plans for Roll for It. So let's go with The Last Stitch because we're both on it. Why not? Bentham, of course, being the showrunner. So if anyone wants to thank someone for making The Last Stitch happen, Bentham is the person to thank. If you enjoy it or you know anything along those lines.
Message so many people. So much organizing.
Oh yeah. Like if you enjoyed the first cast, there's a few more casts coming. You couldn't probably say like when the announcement for the next cast is being.
Yeah, next cast is going to be announced on Sunday.
Yeah. So we'll
then they come out along the next week.
Hell yeah. So we'll be having a new cast with new trials and tribulations. Most probably they won't be ridiculously OP against tanks for some reason.
That's always a risk.
Well,
you're never safe from sheepy dice. They will always find you.
Yeah, like
the only way that there's not going to be any tanks being blown up by las gunfire is if there are no tanks.
That's true. That is true. I will say, like, I do like how they did the crits in OnlyWar, because it means you can still be effective even if you're not effective.
Yeah.
You know, you get a crit and you can do some damage even if you don't like penetrate the armor and do a whole load of like, you know, hull integrity damage, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
It offsets the idea of a Lehman Russ basically destroying everything, which weirdly enough did also happen when they got in a Lehman Russ, but whatever. I'm not salty. I just wish I got a shot off with those turrets before they destroyed the damn things. Or the Goliath. I keep wanting I don't think they're called Goliaths.
I mean, there's a running theme with any OnlyWar UGM of things blowing up before they get to do their thing. Usually blowing up trying to do their thing.
There really is, isn't there? Like
weird boys, biovores,
turrets. Artillery, turrets, pretty much anything that could pose a threat.
Anything where you roll dice, really.
And of course, Bentham is the commander of one of our regiments, which is the glorious 1-4, 1-4
like,
Assault Pioneers.
I think like practically the moment we decided we were doing The Last Stitch, I was like, Sheepy, I have my idea. I have my regiment. I don't think we even had the rest of the cast, and I'm like, I have my regiment.
Yeah.
They're terrain experts. They do earthworks.
Yeah.
They dig trenches. They build bridges. They build roads.
They were
I got them already.
They were very useful in season 1 on Draco Mal. Like, they weren't in the thick of the fighting comparatively to the other regiments. But yeah, that was
kind of the idea. Is though, like, as soon as we were doing it, and I knew I was gonna have a regiment, I'm like, I want my regiment to not actually be a combat regiment. Really, they do that because they all have to. But like,
I mean,
I more care about like battlefield alterations, like setting the stage for other people to do the shooting on.
Which does still lead to deaths, as you found out when you were training your troops and digging trenches, and they accidentally collapsed the trenches on themselves.
Oh dear.
Oh man. So I doubt this is gonna get back to Tyler. But do you wanna know like the last ditch secret that Tyler doesn't know but has to do with his NPCs and his regiment?
Go on.
So you know he has the really old dude.
What?
He's got the sergeant who's like an old geezer who's just like, yeah, back in my day.
Rings a bell, yeah.
I could probably pull up his name, but it's around here somewhere. Like, one thing I'll say is, when you're a GM, depending on how you plan, you can end up with like a massive amount of crackpots. Staff Sergeant Crackpot was the name of his. So that character is a fucking badass.
Ah.
But the thing is like, he doesn't seem like a badass because he's like, you know, the equivalent of like a 70, 80-year-old. But,
so he's never been put in battle, so you don't get to see.
No, he's been it. The thing is like, there's an Imperial Guard saying, fear the old man in a job where everyone dies young.
Yeah.
So it's like the clue is there. If he's been in the guard for so long that he's got that old, there's something about him which is like, you know. But I really hope Tyler never finds out, and like at the end I can tell him, like, by the way, Crackpot was a fucking like mad strategist, combat leader, and he'll be like, no. I like doing stuff like that. And I will say, aside from the Evergreen Legion, the 1-4 Assault Pioneers are my favorite like name for the regiments.
Nice.
Yeah,
it is a nice combo, yeah.
And of course we have Redcap Lime, who got. I like how your description of making the regiment was, I want to make a regiment which isn't like solely combat focused, but Lime ended up getting his nickname from like
just murdering the crap out of Tyranids with a shovel.
Yeah. that was one of those instances where I let the narrative take over. You know, like, you rolled well, and I'm just like, well, this means that this is going to go interesting, and you gonna kind of go into it and have a lot of fun with it. The same thing happened with the Leaf when Tash rolled that crit 100, and they ended up like hallucinating and stuff. I was like, I know. I think maybe that's part of my whole GM thing. Is, you know, I can see a pathway when people like crit roll really well or really badly. I'm like, I know exactly where this is going, and then you know you kind of just
that's a good skill to have, because I feel like I'm not good at that. Like, the few times where it's come up when I'm doing a couple of gem things that I've done, when someone like crits, I'm like, you succeed well, and if they crit fail, I'm like, you don't do the thing. Damn it, I need to think of something better.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I think I was already decent at it, but Chaos kind of honed that for me. It's just escalation and like a mix of escalation and making it fun. You know, like, there's for certain systems especially, there's very little fun in failure.
Yeah.
Fun.
You've got to make it interesting. It's got to be just like, instead of nothing, make it different. I got to work on that.
Well, you know, it's not all the time. It's very dependent, but for myself, I much more prefer to like the episode where they ambushed the people. I said to Wade after the fight, my plan was, if you succeeded your role, for you to do like a really cool Predator Arnold Schwarzenegger like knife throw, and it would hit the guy and, you know, like impale him against the tree and be badass. Wade rolled a crit failure, so he tried to throw the knife, it flipped in the air and sunk into his thigh. So it's like, yeah,
No. It was an explosion. Explosion put the knife in his leg.
right. Just don't lick the trees, okay? Fucking.
Just don't lick the trees.
The,
We have to ask our troops.
Yeah. There was a lot of really great isolatable clips and quotes from that group. Oh my god, Vandy. Well, I'm eventually gonna have to do one of these with Vandy and Tash and Tesichka as well. When we get to the end of Sunkist, of course. I don't know. Is there anything you'd like to mention or talk about? I know that kind of puts you in the spot to
I don't know.
grasp into the mired depths.
This is the problem I always have, is if you present me with all possible choices, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
You gotta give me a couple of options, or I'm like, bleh.
I mean, that's why I came in with my insightful questions, such as which character would you redo? Okay.
I couldn't steer this anywhere, so.
So, if you could pick, let's say, anyone and any system, what would be your dream system, show, and cast?
Oh God.
For Roll For It.
This is a problem for me, because every now and then I think, what would my dreamcast be? And then I have no idea.
Right.
So I'm always kind of lost with this question, even though I've asked it to myself before. I've not got any closer to an answer.
Okay, so let's go with system first. Like let's think of a system.
Well, so the RPG that I want to run, but I don't want to run it now. I want to run it once I've practiced with other things. But the one I want to run is one I've said a fair few times before, which is my Star Wars Without Number mashup of Stars Without Number and the X-Wing Miniatures game. But the problem with that is you've got to be in person to do it right, at least in my opinion. You could do it remotely with
this is
Tabletop Simulator or Vassal, but I'm like, no! Purism! Physical models on a table. I have to justify my purchases.
Okay, so check this, right? How about
we go, the cheapie's idea brain is running.
Well, I mean, like this is all without limit, so it's literally. How about Star Wars Without Numbers, or just like a Star Wars show, with a cast of Mark Hamill.
Oh, you're going that crazy? Like,
yeah, no,
anybody
dude,
in the world.
Literally anyone. Like
Mark Hamill would be 100% into that. I think.
How cool would that be to be able to get Mark Hamill on?
I mean, all you gotta do to pitch it to him is be like, "Listen, we'll do episode 7, but it's not crap this time." They'll be like, "Yes, I'm in."
No, just be like, we start from where it should have started.
It's the sequel trilogy, but Luke has learned anything.
He hasn't degraded horribly.
Luke remembers episode 6. We're just doing that. That's all you need to.
He's not Jake Skywalker. Yeah, so you could go like Star Wars Without Numbers, like Mark Hamill, I was gonna say the dude who plays Jean-Luc Picard, but I was like, maybe he's not your favorite.
I don't know what to think about Patrick Stewart anymore. I thought he had a good eye for scripts, and then Picard happened.
Oh, Henry Cavill? That would be cool.
Oh yes, no, 1,000%.
Yeah,
he'd be absolutely down. Yeah, no, he's a massive nerd. He'd be totally into that. Hell, he may have played X-Wing already, knowing him. Actually, no, he's too busy playing WoW.
No plays WoW now.
Because I was thinking, like, I wouldn't have Harrison Ford on. He wouldn't give a damn.
Yeah,
He'd be like, "What is this? Leave me alone." Plastic spaceships, go away.
But that's just what he is like in general.
Yeah.
That dude is never happy.
Yeah, no, he'd just wander off and crash a plane.
Yeah. Every interview with him is just like, and you're like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I'm not sure." The guy who voices Darth Vader.
Oh, why don't I
Neil.
know his name?
Also, someone suggested Neil deGrasse Tyson, which I think could be fun.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Although he might stop the game all the time to talk about actual space physics and
Yeah, and
shit.
I feel like he'd be annoying. He'd just be. He'd start talking about hyperdrives and
James L. Jones.
That's the one. I don't know if he would be into that though, because I'm thinking like people that like tabletop RPGs would appeal to, and I don't know if James L. Jones would be, but then I just don't know at all. So
you know, like I'm going on to my like people I'd like to have on. I'd really like to have the guy. Oh crap, he was on Magic Mike.
Being a good interviewer there, you're like, okay, the guest has got nothing. I got to step in here.
Don't worry, Bentham. I'll save you. Joe Magliano.
That rings a bell, but I don't actually know who he is.
He was he's kind of like a mainstream actor-ish, but he was in like True Bloods and Magic Mike and you know, quite a few other things. But he also was on guested on oh god, he guested on Critical Role. He runs his own D&D stuff.
I don't think I've ever seen him in anything. Could look him up.
He's big muscle man. Oh, he's Sofia Vergara's husband. Oh, I didn't know that. Dude's a handsome man.
I do not recognize this guy. I don't think he's been in anything I've seen.
He's
apparently was Flash Thompson in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. I wouldn't remember.
I enjoy him. He seems chill.
Oh, he was also Deathstroke in Justice League for the 2 seconds he was on screen.
Yeah. Oh, he played a Star Wars character in Star Wars Resistance. Cool.
What's Star Wars Resistance? Did I miss a TV show?
Stephen Fry.
Oh.
You know what?
Would he care? I don't know if he would care.
Well, I think
it'd be hilarious to have at the table, but he might not be into it.
I think he'd be enthusiastic to get into it. You know, it'd be one of those things where it'd be a bit wonky while he was wrapping his head around it. But he seems like the type of person who, like for me, I was always interested in it, but I never managed to do TTRPGs until I was in shows. I think it could be a lot of fun. You know what would be really fun, actually, is a Harry Potter show GM'd by Stephen Fry.
Yes. Though, does he have... Well, I guess, like, because he did all the audiobooks, right?
Yeah.
Like, things you can do an audiobook without retaining any of the knowledge from the book. Like, if he knows Harry Potter and he's retained it,
Bentham,
then I can see it.
You're being too technical. This is pure fantasy, dude. In this fantasy,
this has to be technical, damn it.
No, it doesn't.
These people need to be happy to be at the table, and they need to have lore knowledge. We're doing this. We're doing it right. No Brian Cox. He'd be really annoying the whole time. He'd just be like, he would also go off on tangents with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And then they'd try and one-up each other with astrophysics knowledge, and you'd be sat there just waiting for them to finish their conversation about, like, space warping.
How about a Game of Thrones TTRPG with Brian Blessed?
Yes.
Right.
As long as he's a player and his character is basically Brian Blessed but in Westeros. You don't even need to like up the stats. Just Brian Blessed in Westeros.
Brian Blessed in Westeros
would already be. You know,
that would be cool, having Brian Blessed, the guy who plays Tyrion. I can't remember his name.
You have Brian Blessed. His character would basically be Great John Umber. If you remember him from like the first couple seasons. Where he's like, the wall would bloody melt before an umber marched behind a Glover.
Yeah. Peter Dinklage, that's right. Ian McKellen. Yeah.
Could be down.
Rowan Atkinson.
Wait, who's that?
Mr. Bean.
Oh, Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
I thought you said Brian.
Oh no, I said Rowan Atkinson.
Okay. It's like, who's Brian Atkinson?
Yeah, Red Atkinson would be a lot of fun, I think. Like, you know, there's and then you have the, you know, like I'd like to experience being GM'd by Matt Mercer, but I feel like I'd be super self-conscious of my accents and stuff because like
Yeah, no, there'd be a lot of pressure. Like, I mean, if it's not on camera, then maybe you just have a fun time. But
well,
like,
or if it's just on my channel, like, you know, I'm sure Matt Mercer would bring a few people with him, but it's not like it would be, you know, critical role numbers.
hmm. Yeah, critical role numbers is when you just, you know, have a panic attack and end the stream.
Mate, yeah. Um, I've gotten used to numbers above my comfort zone. We're doing like Roll for It and the Chaos Show. Like, no, that's
Hmm.
um,
My,
yeah,
my threshold is 1,000. If there's 1,000 people actively watching what I'm doing, that's when I start to shut down.
to be fair, I don't actually look while I'm GMing.
That is a good strategy. Like, I've only ever had 1,000 people watching me do a thing live twice. Well, no, 3 times. We went on front page once, but they didn't care. It's easier when it's front page because you
Yeah.
know that they're literally just sat on the page looking for something to watch,
Yeah.
and they'll be gone soon and won't care. But there was one time where I was streaming Factorio on YouTube, randomly decided that today was my day, and what showed me to 1,000 people. And I'm like, oh no, no, just please stop.
Shut it down, burn it down, no.
John Cleese.
I was gonna say John Cleese, but I know a lot of people consider him to be problematic.
They do? I missed that.
Yeah, I saw it in passing. I don't know whether it's true or not. And also someone said mentioned George R.R. Martin. I was like, I considered mentioning him for Game of Thrones, but it would take him like 5 years to make his character.
I wonder if he ever has done DMing, because he feels like one. You can see it when you look at him.
He's got yeah. I could see that. Maybe he started with like D&D, and he's like, man, this is
Yeah. Like, I can imagine just like him in like in a like cigarette smoke filled like side room with some old furniture, with his sailor hat on, and 4 identical men like at the table with him, and he's like, so you're in Westeros.
yeah, like running D&D, but it's like Game of Thrones. So, you know, every time they go to dinner, like 15 people die, and like there's murder all over the place. He's just like, it's like, this is supposed to be fun fantasy like Lord of the Rings. He's like, no, I will murder everything you love. So
Except it is in the high pitched voice that he has.
Oh yeah,
but it's still sinister in its own way.
So we're probably getting to the point where we should start doing the tier list.
But we have a lot of things to tier.
We do. Before we hit that, I need a drink. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you like a couple of minutes, where you just have to talk about things that you want to promote or talk about for yourself, or you know, your stuff, or Roll for It stuff, like whatever you'd like. Because I'd like to put you on the spot for a second. So.
Oh no.
Have fun. I'm just gonna grab a drink.
All right, yeah. This is my punishment earlier for leaving Sheepy to vamp for like 20 minutes or whatever it was when my PC decided to implode. I still don't know what happened with that. I'm a bit worried. Yeah, I do things on. Obviously, I'm on Roll for It. I'm on a couple of shows on there. I'm on the Last Ditch, of course, with Sheepy. Even when I'm not on it, I'm a mysterious, ghostly voice, speaking from the ether. I'm on the Thursday show, Dungeons and Dragons Ascension, which is really cool. It's super long-term D&D campaign with extremely deep lore. So I made a character who is all about lore because I wanted to know all the lore and then like use it. So I just made a character that knows it all, and then he understands everything that happens as much as I do, pretty much, which is really cool. And then I have a YouTube channel, and that is Mangled Gaming, and there I sometimes do things. Recently, we've been streaming Barrow Trauma on there. Me, Josh, Fuzzy, and Rick. I built my own sub, and it's been actually pretty useful.
Hell yeah. Have you...
Maybe one day I'll do videos again. Who knows?
I mean, that's just not the meta of YouTube anymore. So it's all
I
about...
mean, it's funny enough, yeah, videos
It's all
are
about
not
the
the meta of
community
YouTube.
posts.
Yeah, no, you don't make videos. You just make community posts and shorts, and then
Yes,
you
the
endlessly
shorts.
like and dislike them to make the likes go up, and then everything promotes to everything. YouTube slaps you on the front page, and you get infinite subs and views.
I mean, it ultimately doesn't turn into anything, but you know, that's fine. Yeah, I was talking with you at one point where I was like, I really want to bring back the PMS, Yumi and Peachy, just to do like a couple of things. But the thing about that is like
I still need to finish uploading the videos of the last things we did.
Definitely. But the thing about that is like I can't really push for that because I don't do that content anymore. So I'd be there, but I wouldn't be like putting it up on my own stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to be like, we have to do this. But also,
It gives me a good reason to actually upload things regularly. But then I still won't.
I want us three to play Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe because
yeah,
that's a fun game. So shall we head to the tier list?
Yes, let's do that. I will attempt to share my screen, and we'll see if it breaks everything again.
We could go to like a Zoom call or something to share it. I'm not sure if that would work.
I don't know if I don't think the screen sharing actually set off the things breaking. Because I think it was
it's possible they're already on the verge and
yeah. Before I activated screen share was when the first weird borking happened before we started the show.
Yeah.
And then during the show, it just suddenly flipped out and died, and all my monitors failed. And then I had to unplug them and replug them in to get them to work again. It may well just have been that I left the PC on too long. I used to shut down the PC every night before I went to bed, mainly because it was in the room I slept. Now that I have moved out, I just leave it on because I can't be bothered closing all my tabs. And now it's closed them all for me.
There you go, finally.
I really hope I can restore them. There was some stuff in there that I was kind of saving. I basically use my tabs as like bookmarks these days.
So yeah, let's have a little drum roll and see if the screen share. Oh, okay, that looks great.
Okay.
Looks like it's worked. All right.
I have done the share. It's done some boops.
You have done the share, and now is the time for me to. Okay, I need to adjust it slightly, but that's... Ooh, come on now. Keep it holy. Well, it's not that. Is it that? I think that's...
Oh.
Ah, there it is. Okay, sorry. Just need to make it a little bit smaller. There we go. There we are. Probably about... There will do. Okay, cool. So... I believe you're reasonably familiar with this setup and how we do this.
Yep. I get it. The important question though is, before we begin the ranking, is what are we ranking them on?
So these are personal preference essentially. So you give your own value to the things. It's what you like about them or what you love about them, and you can go into as much or as little detail as you want to.
So is it like how cool you think the factions are?
I mean, it's everything about them combined essentially. So it's for me, it's like how cool they are, how much I like the lore, how cool they are on the tabletop, how good they are on the tabletop, my own personal feelings on them, my random petty dislikes, everything.
Okay.
So, and what I'll also say is, if you want to like hold any back for the end to make it more dramatic, feel free to take artistic license with which ones go up first.
Okay.
And
Or shall I
last,
just put all
etc.
the guff up first, like individual Space Marine chapters and stuff?
Hey, maybe I like some of the individual Space Marine chapters.
Well, yeah, but like...
Oh, here's something you can do. Do you have any idea of what might be in my top 2 or 3, like top 1, 2,
Oh,
3s?
I mean, I feel like orcs has to be up there. Everyone loves orcs. That they like the surface level and the deeper levels of orc lore are always brilliant.
That's fair.
So I feel like they're gonna rank pretty highly. Um, from there, it's harder because then it comes down just to kind of what you're into, like
Yeah.
between all the I feel like Space Marines end up somewhere in the middle because they're cool, but they're a bit generically cool. So
Yeah.
they're not terrible, but it depends.
Yeah, I can see
Like I
that.
feel like you'll put Tyranids fairly highly just because they're interesting and you clearly like them because you use them as an enemy in The Last Ditch.
Yeah.
Maybe Gene Stealer Cults ends up somewhere up there too because they're also neat. And maybe
They're-
Astra Militarum just because OnlyWar.
They're Garbo in the tabletop though. Gene Stealer Cults are like the worst, equal worst with the.
Oh yeah, that's the
Tau,
thing.
from
Is
what I
I'm
know.
forgetting. These are codexes, which means that these are books for an army. I didn't think Gene Stealer Cult would be an army, and it seems kind of weird to me
Yeah, me too. But then
to be an
I'm
entire
like,
one.
oh, a Roomba, hello.
Oh, is that?
I don't think they can see that on the stream, but
No, it
it
doesn't come up on the stream.
it
But yeah,
popped up
I
for
don't
me.
have Steam notifications turned off. He's apparently playing a game.
Classic YouTubers who don't turn their their
The
Steam
thing, I
notifications
never
on.
screen share normally, or when I do, I share the specific window so nothing else
Yeah.
comes up, and so I never bother actually cleaning up my notifications. So all sorts of random crap appears all the time.
Well, would you like to begin?
All right, yeah, let's get something. Let's start with something boring. We'll start slow. I mean, I don't know much about the Space Marine chapters, but I feel like
Sure.
individual chapters are never gonna be particularly epic. The Iron Hands. I know nothing about the Iron Hands, so we'll pop them in there.
All right.
And then should we just start comparing Space Marine chapters? I'm really just holding off till the.
So the Iron Hands, like weird, not weirdly, but their Primarch was called Ferrus Manus, and were they the ones who were Yeah. The Iron Hands are the ones who were like kind of a bit they were cool with people dying. So they were just like, yeah, fuck it. As long as we defeat the enemy, it doesn't matter how many people like innocents we kill and whatever.
Okay.
So,
Victory at all costs, sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of. I don't need to rank them actually because I have to rank them against the next thing up. So, depending.
Yeah, so we'll grab another Space Marine chapter. Let's just work out right now where they all compare to each other, and then
Sure,
we can navigate around them from
I'm
there.
down for that.
Let's get the White Scars. I know nothing about them, so two Space Marine chapters I have zero knowledge of.
So the White Scars are basically biker boys.
Okay.
They're oh god, my nerd's coming out. They're
what did you expect? We're ranking
I know.
40k factions.
Their Primarch was Jagatai Khan. They have like a kind of Mongol feel to them.
Okay, I get it now.
The thing is like I don't really rate Space Marines on bikes. They're just it's weird to me. So I'm gonna put the Iron Hands above the White Scars.
All right, they move up.
Yeah.
Get another one. Imperial Fists. Know almost nothing about them. How do they compare to the White Scars?
Imperial Fists are. I'm pretty sure they're the ones who are. Yeah. They're the super fortressy dudes. They're basically like Space Marine 1-4, I guess.
Okay.
I quite like the Imperial Fists. I'll put them definitely above the White Scars. Their color scheme is not that great. but the Iron Hands are kind of meh. So I think I'll put the Imperial Fists above the. But the Iron Hands are assholes, and that's always fun. I'll put the Imperial Fists above the Iron Hands.
Okay.
I think.
Let's get the Salamanders versus the White Scars.
Oh god, the only actual paladins in the fucking Oh, do you know about the Salamanders?
Aren't they supposed to have like jet black skin and red eyes?
I think so. Yeah, they're the ones.
Because this guy doesn't seem to, unless the lighting's weird.
Yeah, they actually they're the ones who are like they're one of the early Space Marine chapters who care about civilian casualties, and they'll sacrifice themselves to let people. Let like civilians evacuate a planet when the Tyranids attack or whatever. They'll die. So yeah, they're on the one hand, for the meme of it, I want to put them at worst because it's like any actual nice people in 40k immediately are just like, wow, they suck.
That's true.
But I still like the White Scars. Like, orcs are bikers. Space Marines are not bikers, so I would put the Salamanders above them.
Okay.
The
Salamanders should be the worst, but the White Scars are just so boring.
They're not boring. They're just... I don't vibe with the White Scars. I don't...
Okay.
And I feel like the White Scars kind of get, like, not ignored, but... Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go for the Battle of the Monochromes. You can. We're still going, aren't we?
Yeah. I will put the Imperial Fists above the Iron Hands.
Oh, okay.
And the Salamanders above the Iron Hands as well.
Did we get like a rock paper scissors here, where the Salamanders are better than the Iron Hands are better than the Imperial Fists, and the Imperial Fists are better than the Salamanders? So you just have to pick one.
No, the Iron Hands are the worst out of the three, I think, for me at least.
Right, yes. Battle of the Monochromes. Raven Guard versus White Scars.
Good news, you can move the White Scars up from the worst.
Aha!
Fuck you, Raven Guard.
What's wrong with the Raven Guard?
So the Raven Guard are, like...
Wait, they're not meant to be green. Am I mixing up with someone else?
So, the Raven Guard are masters in, like, stealth and patient hunter, like they're called like patient hunters and etc. And I'm like,
that's
okay,
not what a Space Marine is.
Exactly, yeah, no, like fuck you. Like,
I mean, I guess the only way they can be stealthy is if they don't move. So there's that.
They're also. I mean, just look at the picture of them. They're super emo.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, I understand that they want...
Is their armor black or armor? Because I thought there was one that was green, but I could be thinking of something else.
You might be thinking of the Dark Angels.
Ah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Because then I don't think I see them here, or if they are, they've not used the same picture style, so they're in stealth mode.
The Raven Guard are masters of unseen and guerrilla warfare, only engaging in frontal assaults when no other option presents itself. Does that sound like Space Marines? Fuck you.
What's the point of the power armor if you're not charging head on at the enemy? You are the cover. That's the point of being a Space Marine. They're wasting their armor.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. That's why they're at the bottom.
All right, the big one out of the Space Marines,
the upset.
Ultramarines.
Can they go all the way to the top? No, actually, they're worse than the Raven Guard.
Yeah, I was like, there's only one way this goes, bottom or top.
Yeah, Bentham, you've heard me talk about that.
I was probably going to be bottom, yeah. Like. There's a reason they're a meme.
You know I hate the fucking Ultramarines.
Oh, and there is another Space Marine chapter. I nearly missed them. But there is, in fact, the Blood Angels. They're just using a different cover.
There's another one as well. Fifth from the right, top row.
Oh, there's the Dark Angels. Okay, they are here. They just look chaosy. I'm like trying to derive feel from the pictures because the names are small. So I'm like, that looks like Chaos Space Marine. Moving on.
There's another one as well, but we'll get to them. So
Okay.
Blood Angels are quite interesting. It's very much like, hey, let's make vampires and Space Marines. But
It's a choice, definitely a choice.
I like the story of Sanguinius and the whole, like, his death fucked them up and they have to deal with this, like, red thirst, and the fact that sooner or later they turn into, like, ravenous, crazy beasts and pretty much look to die in battle when that happens. So they're definitely better than the Ultramarines, because I'm not sure if the Ultramarines are actually ever going to move up from there. We'll think as we go, but
There we go. I couldn't get them to go in place. The Ultramarines were like, "No, we will stay. Get off."
I don't have a problem putting the Blood Angels above the Raven Guard or the White Scars.
Okay.
They were my first army. So well, because me and my brother got the Warhammer 40,000 like back in the 90s. Got the Warhammer 40,000 like starter pack thing.
Yeah, that's how I started as well. Like I got the
Blood Angels and the Orcs.
I got Assault on Black Reach, which was I think it was Ultramarines and Orcs, but the kind of Space Marine didn't actually matter. It was just any old dude.
Yeah, it was pretty much just Space Marines and Orcs, and you could color them however you want. Me and my brother went with Blood Angels.
I went with an endless army of grey. I did paint mine red in the end. I did go for like a Blood Angels style, but I wasn't particularly going for them because they're very specific. I was just going for like they look like them, but they're not.
So
I was inspired by that, and also the Blood Ravens from Dawn of War. So I was just going for that kind of idea.
I mean, Blood Ravens, I think, were a second to the Blood Angels. Like they were from.
Yeah, they're like
Angels.
a splinter of the Blood Angels, but also don't have any of the Blood Angel things. They're just a faction that are colored red and do Space Marine things and are really incompetent in wars.
Yeah. So I would say Blood Angels are also assholes, but in a more interesting way. So I'd put them above the Iron Hands because they kind of beat them out for that. No one likes Paladins, and the Blood Angels are angels, so angels beat Paladins. So I'd put them above the Salamanders.
Okay.
But interestingly,
of course, yes, angels, paladins. That's tier list. Yeah.
Interestingly, I don't think I can put them above the Imperial Fists.
Ah.
The Imperial Fists are the type of dudes who go to a planet and just dig into the entire planet until when you land, they're just like, try and take this. Try and take this from us.
You know me, I'm kind of about that.
Yeah, me too. Like I enjoy that vibe. So.
Oh, now I see the other faction you were talking about. Okay, I'm aware of, I think, all of them there.
Yeah.
Right, let's bring the Dark Angels in. They were here after all.
Now the Dark Angels are obviously better than the Ultramarines because there's not much that's worse than the Ultramarines. This is actually my tier list, Vandy. Definitely better than the Raven Guard as well. Wait, did we lose Bentham again?
Yep. No, I'm here. I'm just.
Sorry, I had to.
Just letting you talk about your factions.
Oh,
but yeah, no,
sorry.
I'm not. It's not my list. I'm just helping Sheepy put it together. Which is good because I couldn't do this myself because there's some of these on here I don't know. Like I don't know really any of the Space Marine chapters.
So this is going to be interesting because I actually really love the Dark Angels, even though they're edgy boys who are just like,
okay,
because they actually fell to chaos. Almost technically speaking, because their Primarch went off to help and fight in the war. While he was gone, his second in command basically got corrupted and was like, yeah, fuck Lionel Johnson, and a whole load of the Space Marines went with him, and then Lionel Johnson came back after fighting in the Horus Heresy to find, like, after they defeated the Horus Heresy and, like, the Emperor was messed up and his, Sanguinius was fucked up and dead, And he came back.
Yeah, so you just do that big fight, you like kind of win, but at a horrible cost. You go home, and they're all like, "Whoa, chaos!" And you're like, "Are you serious?"
Really? Like I just and so they like there was a big fight, and then at the end, the second in command, who I can't remember his name, and Lionel Johnson, the Primarch of the Dark Angels, had a fight. Lionel Johnson was basically mortally wounded and dying, and maybe dead. And
okay, so they literally just did a mini Horus Heresy.
Yeah, a little bit. And the
so they put him in a throne, a silver throne.
I can't.
And he's been there ever since.
I think their entire planet broke apart. During the fighting.
What about the guard though? Were they still?
Well, it's funny. It's funny because none of the Dark Angels who went to Chaos actually went to Chaos. I think they were tricked. And now
it was like the guy went to Chaos. He told them that they were fighting for the Emperor when they actually weren't. And then when the boss came back, he's like, "Yo, he lied."
And so they all like ran away into space. All the fallen Dark Angels. And then
to get away from capitalism.
Yeah, and they're now being hunted by the Dark Angels to make them repent. So like the Dark Angel, effectively like Inquisitors, will torture fallen Dark Angels for like years to get them to repent. And I think in the entire history of the Dark Angels, like a couple of fallen angels have actually repented and then died because they killed them anyway. But
oh, of course, yeah, no, you have to repent and then also be killed for your heresy.
So, I would actually put the Dark Angels at the top so far.
Oh damn!
I really like
straight up.
Like they, as I said, they are fairly edgy boys, but
Okay, here's another one that I feel like could go anywhere depending on the person being asked. But the Space Wolves.
Okay, so definitely better than the Ultramarines.
All right,
so
that's not hard.
Yeah, it's not hard. Better than the Raven Guard. The Raven Guard and White Scars I'm just not a fan of at all. You know what? Just purely because of what their Primarch did in the Horus Heresy, I'm gonna put them up above the Salamanders. Definitely above the Iron Hands and above the Salamanders. Basically, their Primarch, it was pretty much responsible for the well, not responsible for the Horus Heresy because everyone was responsible for that, but the Thousand Sons Primarch, what the hell's his name? Give me a second, I may need to search this. Thousand Sons Primarch was called Magnus. Yeah, no, so it was it wasn't the Thousand Sons, it was Magnus.
Was that the red boy?
Yeah. Who was the Primarch of?
All I know about him is what I've seen in a couple episodes of If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device.
Yeah. So Magnus was like saw a premonition of the Horus Heresy and all the bad things happening, and so used his psychic powers or psycho powers to contact the Emperor, while the Emperor was doing fuckery with a human version of the Eldar Webway, so that humans wouldn't need to use the warp to travel anymore. They could do it safely. Which broke through the barrier to stop demons pouring into Earth, which caused, obviously he broke through the barrier, which caused demons to pour into Earth, and the Emperor was like, "Fuck off, Magnus, you're a dick." And then, because
but I was trying to warn you about the part where you die.
Yeah, and so so Magnus
I'm imagining it in the most comedic way possible of the Emperor's like
absolutely.
doing some very, very fine detail work with some weird tools in like this weird, warp laboratory in a tunnel that he's made, and he's like very, very carefully like putting something together, and then just like, "Emperor, I have a premonition."
And so
Jesus, and then everything breaks, demons pour in.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So the Emperor like told
It'd be weird the Emperor saying, "Oh Jesus," though, because I think he was Jesus.
Yeah. So the Emperor told Magnus to fuck off, and then Magnus was like, "Oh shit!" And then because he already told Magnus to stop using psyker powers and abilities and stuff, he sent the Space Wolves, but more specifically the Space Wolf Primarch, to go and fuck up Magnus. And because the Primarch, I think his name is Fenris. I'm sure someone in the chat will correct me if I'm wrong.
Wasn't the Space Wolf? Wait, who's Lehman Russ? Because
sorry, Lehman Russ is So Lehman Russ is just a fucking Chad, and he's basically a jock. And he was like, my god, that nerd who likes books and shit, yeah, I'll go fuck him up. And then he went and fucked him up and turned him to chaos. So basically he went and fucked up and kicked the shit out of the guy Magnus's 1,000 Sons, and Magnus had to turn to chaos basically to save them.
Oh dear. And then the Emperor had to build a psychic throne to keep the webway that got borked closed, and then it also happened to function as a life support system, so they just slapped him in there when he got stabbed, and he's been there ever since. That's the great thing, is like, even if he wakes up, he can't leave the chair because he's holding back the warp from pouring through the broken webway that got left. I know that bit of the lore.
I will put the Space Marines, the Space Wolves, above the Blood Angels.
Oh.
But I don't think I can put them above the Imperial Fists.
All right, Black Templars are Chaos Space Marines, right? Am I right with that?
No, Black Templars are actually Space Marines.
Oh, okay, then we have another Space Marine chapter.
We have quite a few. We have a couple more, I think, from what I can see.
We've got Grey Knights. I guess you count those.
So,
is Deathwatch Space Marines, or are they?
They are, yeah.
Okay, right. So we got Deathwatch and Grey Knights because there's the three weird kinds of Space Marines, and that's two of them. And I don't know if the third kind is on here.
So technically, yes, Lehman Russ did fuck up really badly. But the entire state of the Imperium can be blamed on two people, Doge Van Dyer and Erebus. Those two are the main assholes who are to blame. So this is going to be interesting because the Black Templars are a Space Marine faction who consider the Emperor to be God and all the things that they shouldn't. And to show their devotion, they went off on a 10,000-year crusade, and they're still doing that. And they're super boring. I hate them. So weirdly enough, I didn't expect this to happen, but the Ultramarines are moving up.
Oh my god!
I know. I don't like the Black Templars. I really don't.
Ultramarines are just up there like, I'm sitting pretty on second worst.
And thinking about that, the Ultramarines are going to move up one more because I don't like the Raven Guard either.
Oh, because now that the Ultramarines aren't literally the worst,
no,
all bets are off.
It's one of those things where you start thinking about where they rank compared to each other, and I'm like, I don't like the Ultramarines, but there are things I like less than the Ultramarines. The Ultramarines are bland and have been.
Yeah, no, the Ultramarines, you don't hate them with as much passion as you could hate some other factions. It's just that you care so little about the Ultramarines that it's negative to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But then there are other things where you're like, I actively dislike that, rather than passively.
Oh god, they're gonna move up over the White Scars as well.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. No, because I was thinking about
Major upset made by the Black Templars here. They're so bad they made the Ultramarines less bad.
I was thinking about it, and I'm just like, the White Scars. There's nothing good about them. For me, because
at least the Ultramarines are normal Space Marines, and you're like, White Scars, why can't you be normal? They're like bikes.
They're both like bikes. They're both quite bland, but at least the problem with the Raven Guard and the White Scars is their gimmicks. They're essentially rogues and bikers, and it's like that doesn't add anything to them. Like you take the Salamanders. Or the Imperial Fists, they have something interesting about them. Although I guess Salamanders are just paladins, really. But yeah, the Ultramarines at least have some interesting things about them. It's just that they're also a bland meme. So
Okay.
yeah,
The Adeptus Custodes aren't Space Marines, right? Even though they kind of look like it on this small cover.
They aren't Space Marines. They're basically the Imperial. I was gonna say Imperial Guard. They're the
The Emperor's Guards people,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's the idea. Like.
They're basically the super soldiers.
Okay, so yeah, they're not quite Space Marines, but they're like one step below or whatever. So yeah, I think we just have the Death Watch and the Grey Knights out of Space Marines then.
Yes.
Okay, let's do the Grey Knights. I know vaguely about these, mainly because they appear in Dawn of War. I know they like stabbing things with pointy spears and
force weapons is their jam.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're all psychers. They're all powerful psychers. That's just their thing.
Well, because they fight demons basically.
I can never remember which one's which, but that makes sense.
I would say above the Black Templars and above the Raven Guard.
Okay. Presumably above the White Scars.
Yes, above the White Scars. This is where it gets difficult because I'm like, the Grey Knights are kind of overlooked to a certain extent, or have been. Like they don't really pop up in my consciousness that much.
So it's hard to form that much of an opinion.
The Black Templars are the worst. Don't at me. The Grey Knights are.
There's
above
still
the
time. We might find
Ultramarines,
something worse somehow. Okay.
and above the Iron Hands, but the Salamanders have some like all those top 5 Space Marine chapters are interesting, and when you read their lore and you read the stuff about them, you're like, I like this. So they're more.
The Grey Knights does not much.
Yeah. Well, and also like the others, there's something about them I either find bland or disinteresting, or there are legitimate negatives too. The Grey Knights I don't really vibe with particularly, so I think I'm gonna stop the Grey Knights there, where it's like, in theory, I could put them above probably all of them, but the Dark Angels. But just from my own personal taste, like they don't interest me that much. So,
Okay. All right. The Death Watch. Which ones are these?
These are the ones who go and fight Gene Stealers in Space Hulks.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So, because it's the Grey Knights are Malleus. That's demons, right? And then these guys are Xenos, and I don't think there are Space Marines for Hereticus because it's below their pay grade. Or if there is, it's not on the list.
I don't think there's a specific. Yeah, I don't think.
Leave that to the Inquisition.
I would definitely put them. So, for a yardstick, we can easily take them to Grey Knights. Just purely because they're technically very similar to the Grey Knights.
Oh, it's gone wonky. Dark Angels moves up.
Oh, Dark Angels have got up to my top 11. I would put them above the Grey Knights because fighting Gene Stealers is more interesting than fighting demons. We'll get to that in a bit.
Space Hulk is a good game.
It is a good game. I would put them above the Salamanders. I would put.
I always have to drag it like a couple pixels further than I think I need to get it to register.
It takes a bit of time to. I'd put them above the Blood Angels. I think.
Oh yeah, it's like the Sisters of Battle of the Order Hereticus. So yeah, it's below Space Marine pay grades. They give it to the girl Space Marines that they put in there for.
Dude, those girl Space Marines are fucking
diversity
badass.
points. They are actually, yeah.
I would put the Death Watch above the Space Wolves. And actually, interestingly, I'd put the Blood Angels above the Space Wolves now that I think about it.
I like it when the like another Space Marine chapter passing by like changes the balance. That's
it has to, because it was harder for me to put the Death Watch above the Blood Angels than it was the Space Wolves, and I was like, okay, that means, I would put them above the Imperial Fists as well.
Damn.
I really like the Death Watch. Who I think the Death Watch are they were originally, I think they were originally an offshoot of the Dark Angels or something like that.
I'm gonna portion things out a bit differently here, just to
that's fair.
make it
I mean,
more even.
You could put the Salamanders up there, and then that's basically my feelings on them currently. Is like the Salamander. Oh, actually, no, that kind of works actually.
I'm just doing that because otherwise, every time I put something on the bottom row, it'll break the thing.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
They don't move above the dark. I actually quite like the Dark Angels. The Dark Angels could end up pretty high.
Okay, so I'm gonna really mix things up here. We're really gonna upset the balance. Something entirely different. No points of comparison here to work on. I'm gonna do the Space Marines.
Yeah, this is
How
just
do the Space Marines compare to the Space Marine?
So this is reasonably easy. They're just above the Ultramarines.
That makes sense. Yeah, the Ultramarines are everything that Space Marines stand for in its most boring form.
Yes. I'd love to debate in my brain and like make it dramatic, but no, they're just above the Ultramarines. That's
I imagine it would either be at the bottom, top, or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Next Ultramarines makes sense. Let's move to other parts of the Imperium. I think I'm going I'm getting the whole Imperial faction out the way, and then we'll start to look at the enemies.
Interesting. I'm down for it.
Let's do, and I'm going to. I like to start obscure as possible, so I don't even know. Well, I know now what the Adeptus Custodes are, but let's chuck them in there. I probably should have done the Sororitas actually, but we'll do the Custodes. Let's see what they're about.
Oh well, like get the ones who. This one's like reasonably easy for me. So they're really cool. They're total badasses. But they're just not that interesting to me. So I would say they're better than the Black Templars. They're better than the Raven Guard. I definitely put them above the White Scars and the Ultramarines. I think the real thing here is they're more interesting to me than Space Marines in general. But the specific factions and stuff, not really. So no, I think put them above the Iron Hands, yeah. The only question I have to answer is, are they more interesting? Yeah, they're more interesting than the Grey Knights. Screw it. They're going higher than I thought they were going to. I wouldn't put them above the Salamanders. I don't. No, I would. Yeah, no, I would.
Oh. I'm gonna put them up on this row.
Yeah, they broke through the gauntlets of shitty Space Marine factions.
To reach the top of the tier list, you must fight your way through all of the crappy Space Marine chapters.
Sounds like the Orcs'
Everyone must face them.
Just
a whale of a time.
As a sidebar, if you want to get some of the ones that are like less interesting out the way. You can do the Chaos Demons, the Chaos Knights, and the Imperial Knights pretty easily. Those are the ones which aren't going to go very far or have too much like deliberation for me.
I'll do Chaos after Imperial. We'll go that way with it. Right, yeah, let's do Sororitas because I forgot about him for a sec.
Okay.
But you said you were hyped about him.
Oh yeah, I
very very religious, very burny. That's the stuff that I know.
Well, they're So the really interesting thing about the Adeptus Sororitas is the guy I was talking about before, Doge Van Dyer. He was basically the dude who was in charge of the Imperium for a long time. He was like a freaking dictator, basically. He basically said that he could translate what the Emperor was saying, so he did all of this shit, and he kept a harem of Adeptus Sororitas as his mixture of concubines and guards, and he basically like used them to beat people with when people he didn't like. And because the ladies in the Adeptus Sororitas believed that he was pretty much working the Emperor's will, they like blindly followed him for ages until one of the like heroes of the Adeptus, or heroines, I guess, of the Adeptus Sororitas was taken by the Adeptus Custodes into the Golden Throne Room, and when she came out, she fucking executed the dude. She was super.
Like,
she was super
it's
pissed.
like he ain't talking.
Like,
he's a skeleton.
I don't know what happened. It's never mentioned.
Oh, it's one of those things of
Yeah.
like mysterious things occurred, and when she came out, she knew the truth.
I think so, yeah. But the Adeptus Sororitas are a mixture of really cool and not expanded enough upon. Is my opinion on them.
Mm.
So
Haven't they got a thing of like they've got kind of budget versions of all the things Space Marines have, but isn't there some kind of rule that they have where like they can't that makes their like, there's some kind of hoop they have to jump through, right? Like they've got steam powered mechs or something.
yeah, it's something along those lines. Well, they've got
Like they can't have electricity or whatever.
they've
Something
got
weird like that.
they've got the penitence engines, which are really cool. Which immediately puts them above the Space Marines for a yardstick.
Just general Space Marines.
Yeah. They'll probably go higher, but so I think I like them more than the Iron Hands. And the Grey Knights. And the Salamanders is going to be interesting because they're both kind of holier than thou. Yeah, they have interesting start. Like the Salamanders are fine, but the Adeptus Sororitas are finer.
Okay.
I would. Adeptus Custodes are kind of badass. But like the thing is the Adeptus Sororitas, they are kick-ass and they don't have everything that the Space Marines have. So I'd put them above the Adeptus Custodes and the Space Wolves, because fuck the Space Wolves.
He says to a faction that he's put in the top half of ranking so far.
Hey, they're funny because their Primarch was a dickhead. And they're basically all angry wolf boys. I don't think they go past the Blood Angels though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm doing this one because I just want to know what it is. What is Imperial Knights? Is that Titans or is that a past thing?
It's the step down from Titans. It's basically like mechs almost.
Is this a new thing? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know much about them, and I don't have any interest in them. So I would say just below the Space Marines.
Okay.
Just above the Ultramarines, because I don't know much about them, which means I don't dislike them as much as those 4 Space Marine chapters.
That's the baseline. This is where this is 0 and everything.
Yeah, I think they're a bit like ATSTs or ATATs, the walkers.
ATs are the 4-legged. ATST is the 2-legged.
Yeah, they're more recent additions, which weren't around when I was like really getting into the lore and stuff. It's the same with the Chaos Knights. You can chuck them in like just above.
Is that literally just the same thing?
Yeah. You can chuck
above
them
or below Imperial Knights.
Above, because Chaos is just a little bit more interesting than the Imperial Knights.
Okay, we have the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Oh god,
is the Omnissiah.
This is where we start getting difficult, isn't it? Okay, so
we're running out of obscure stuff now. We're getting into the proper things.
Well, we're getting into all the things I love. Adeptus Mechanicus definitely above the Space Marines, so we can skip all the above the Iron Hands and the Grey Knights and the Salamanders. But
I gotta start moving some things into this top row here.
what was that? The Death Watch?
Yeah, yeah, it was in front of
They don't deserve to be in the top row.
Well, you got to push them off then.
Okay.
For now, I'm trying to make some space because we're up over here. We're putting these guys up here.
Yeah, that's why I said, it's like 11 to 20, 21 to 30. Like, that's too bold, dude. I think that the Adeptus Mechanicus don't make it past the... No, wait. Okay, take the Space Wolves, move back 2.
Oh, down to here.
Yeah. Because I can't move the Adeptus Mechanicus past the Adeptus Custodes. I like the Adeptus Custodes more, but also I like the Adeptus Mechanicus more than the Space Wolves. So,
yeah, like the Primarch can only get him so far. When it comes down to it, the faction's just not good enough.
I like the aesthetic of the Adeptus Mechanicus a lot, but they're one of those factions that has been overloved by Games Workshop because they're very popular because of the whole meme of like robot boys loving their toasters. So like I do really like them. I like how they look and I like the whole vibe of the Adeptus Mechanicus, but I also don't like them because they got a little bit too hyped up in terms of like power and awesomeness when I don't really feel it's warranted. So yeah.
All right, ramping up the Imperium
1
with the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard,
top above the Dark Angels, easy.
Okay, straight up there, boom,
straight up to the top, 100%. I love the Astra
easy.
The Astra Militarum is so awesome because all of this like interesting factions, like the Imperial Fists, the Dark Angels, you have all of that, but more interesting in the Astra Militarum. Like, all like you can go to the Talon Desert Raiders, who have a defensive agreement with one of the Eldar craft worlds, who the Talon Desert Raiders were attacked by one of the Chaos Space Marine factions who tried to exterminatus their planet, but they went and hid in bunkers. Then they landed on the planet to attack it and got pushed off by the Talon Desert Raiders. So that's an Imperial Guard regiment. They beat off a Chaos Space Marine faction. And then you've got like the Valhallan Ice Warriors, Mordian Iron Guard, who are one of my favorite all time ever. I love the Mordian Iron Guard. Cadia, obviously, who I'm not a huge fan of because they're a little bit too memed on. You've got the Katachan Jungle Fighters, the Krieg, obviously, again quite memed on, but like the Astra Militarum / Imperial Guard are just so awesome, and that's even before you get into like their tanks and toys and all that stuff.
All right, and that's everything Imperial, and like that's most of the factions are the Imperium, and then we also got the Chaos Knights in there.
That's one of the reasons why I was like, you could go for a few of these things because I knew that the second I could see you going towards the Astra Militarum, and I was like, I know that they're going to the top. They don't have anything to fight yet.
Well, we'll see if they can get challenged. We'll find out. All right.
Yeah.
You mentioned it before, Chaos Demons.
The Black Templars can move up.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. See, this is the thing.
Thought I'd see the day.
Well, there are more interesting, faceless, personality-less factions than the Chaos Demons. They're just demons. There's nothing. They're like the individual demons can be kind of interesting, but as a faction, you could just have Chaos Space Marines. There are interesting Chaos Space Marines. It's like the demons are boring. There's generic, and like if it was like characters, or like units, and we went into like the changer of ways, or the bloodthirster, or etc. There are some really interesting demons who I like, but as a faction, no, not interesting.
Even the Black Templars though.
So the Black Templars, at least they do something, which is, it would like
Wow.
the Chaos Demons just sit around and then try and do stuff, and then they do. Yeah, it's like, okay, cool.
Damn.
All
right.
Also, you can literally take models from Warhammer Fantasy and use them in Warhammer 40k for the Chaos Demons. That's how much they've changed. So,
All right. More chaos. The Thousand Suns. We're back to Space Marines.
oh, my boys. Oh God, I love the Thousand Suns. They dust in the wind. All you are is. Do you get that joke, Bentham?
No.
So the Thousand Suns were encased in their armor. Inside their armor, they're just dust.
Okay. Nice.
So they definitely take them to the standard. I think for now, most of these guys are almost immediately going to go up to Salamander tier, and I'll like work it from there, because like that. Well, maybe
what is Salamander tier, above or below Salamander?
Just below, so I can figure out if they're better than Salamanders. They're better than
So
Salamanders.
we've got like the big yardsticks at the moment is Space Marines, Salamanders, and then it's a bit more ropey towards the top. It just depends.
Yeah, I'd say they're better than the Salamanders. They're better than fuck the Space Wolves. They're better than the Space Wolves.
I feel like the Space Wolves are just gonna get like slowly dropped down the list till they're like next to the Black Templars. Like, how did I get here?
We'll see. Better than the Adeptus Mechanicus and Custodes and Sororitas. I do like the Blood Angels, and I'm tempted to put the Blood Angels above the Imperial Fists.
Oh.
But no, I like my fortification boys. Like, I've always enjoyed the Imperial Fists, even though they don't have as much personality. They literally just sit in their bunkers and like grumble at people on the other side of trenches, and I love that shit.
Can relate,
especially in Space Marines, where it's just like, no, we will stay here and we will sit here, and you can come to us, and even when you do, we will barely move. I'd say above the Blood Angels and above the Imperial Fists.
Damn. I'm getting the feeling this deserves to be up on this row as well.
Yes, definitely. Definitely better than the Death Watch.
Oh, definitely top row in that case.
So this is the thing: is currently there is a big gap for me between the Death Watch and the Dark Angels, and there's also a big gap between the Dark Angels and the Astra Militarum. Yes, above the Dark. I do really love the Dark Angels, but the Thousand Suns are really cool. I fucks with them, and Zinch is my boy. Being a GM, Zinch is my boy. They're not better than the Imperial Guard though. I may change my mind as we do this more, and I find it harder or easier to do, but for now, no, we'll leave the Thousand Suns there. Oof.
All right, continuing the theme, I think the Death Guard. This Space Marines, right?
Yeah. Poor Death Guard.
The picture makes me think Nurgle.
Yeah, they're hella Nurgle. They joined the Horus Heresy on Horus's side, and they did some fuckery and stuff, and then they were like, hey, we lost, we should probably leave. And then Nurgle grabbed them in the warp as they were going and just basically turned them into plague, which they it was, oh god, there's always that asshole number 2 like second in command, and I think that was the dude who
Ruining
was
everything.
yeah, that like the Primarch of the Death Guard and his second in command hate each other now. I think he's kind of a nerd about disease and stuff now. The second in command. So we'll go for the Salamanders because the Death Guard are pretty cool.
Meow.
You know what? I think they stop there. I'm tempted to put them below the Grey Knights. Because the Death Guard are kind of cool, but I don't really fuck with Nurgle that much. The thing about Nurgle is Nurgle's all slow and tanky, and that's not really my thing. I have the Imperial Fists already for that. Yeah, I think the Grey Knights are above the Death Guard. Yeah. I'm okay with that, I think.
Alright.
Okay.
Now, the Chaos Space Marines, what do they rank compared to all the other Space Marines and all the Chaos Space Marines?
So, oh god, this is a difficult one, because, like, there's a lot of Chaos Space Marines I love, and a lot of Chaos Space Marines I dislike. So, I think the best thing to do for this is to put them just below the Salamanders. In kind of like a generic better than the Space Marines in general, but not better than the specific Space Marines.
That you consider them generally Chaos Space Marines better than the Death Guard?
Yes. The Death Guard, the Death Guard I don't find. Like, they have an interesting story, but aside from that, they're kind of meh. But I have thought a little bit, and I would like to put the Space Wolves below the Chaos Space Marines, because the Chaos Space Marines are more interesting than the Space Wolves.
They're working their way down. They're slowly losing ground. They were over here before.
They were. Oh,
they're having a bad time.
Hey, babe, they fuck
Poor
things up.
Wolfie boys. Okay. This next one I'm gonna do because I have literally no idea what they are, so maybe they relate to this, or maybe there's something else entirely. The hell are Drukhari? Never heard of these.
The Dark Eldar.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good then. I was gonna move to the Eldar next.
Well,
so we gotta shoot that guy over there.
You can move the Space Wolves below the Grey Knights.
That wasn't even. I was just adjusting like the arrangement for like to look nice, and that was enough to demote the Space Wolves even more.
Look, I thought about it. Okay. So you can put the Drukhari at above, just below the Salamanders to begin with.
Alright.
Because the Dark Eldar, the Dark Eldar are super cool to me at least.
And chat, I know what the Dark Eldar are. I've just only ever known them as the Dark Eldar from like Dawn of War and stuff. I didn't know what Drukhari was.
I think Dark Eldar are a bit too close to Dark Elves, so they wanted a distinction, so they went with Drukhari. The same way the Eldar are like the Craft World Eldar now, or Craft Worlds. So definitely above the Salamanders, because they are just evil assholes and pirates and stuff. Above the Adeptus
they'll be called Drukhari and Craft Worlds now because they can copyright those.
Yeah.
Okay, above the Mechanicus.
Above the Custodes. And actually, I think the Mechanicus go above the Custodes too, because it was harder to yeah.
You were so sure that they couldn't pass that barrier before.
I know.
You were so sure that you demoted the Space Wolves past them.
Oh, but the Space Wolves have gone on their own little journey. It's fine. Above the Adeptus Sororitas and the Blood Angels.
Oh.
And actually, I think the Death Watch come down and the Imperial Fists go up.
Oh, okay.
I like the Imperial Fists, and I do love the Death Watch, but I'm being biased towards the Death Watch because of the games. The Death Watch themselves are not as cool as the Space Hulk games.
Is this where the Drukhari stop, or is their journey not over?
No, Drukhari definitely go above the Death Watch. I need to face them off against the Imperial Fists, though. That's what I'm not sure about yet.
They came to the Imperial Fists, and you're like, we're not ready for this fight yet.
That's why the Death Watch had to move down, because I'm like, the Drukhari's definitely above the Death Watch, which means.
But the Imperial Fist is a tougher fight.
It's a tougher fight, so like I had to switch that around a little bit before I did the fight. Okay, yeah, they are above the Imperial Fists. And
They're motoring.
See, all of this has been really easy for me because, like, to this point. But I see the Dark.
Yeah, I'm saving all the meaty ones for the end.
I see the Dark Angels, and I'm like, the Drukhari are more interesting to me than the Dark Angels. But then we get to the Thousand Suns, and I'm like, oh, my boys! My boys!
Oh, no! Look at how my boy's massacring my boy.
Oh, so the Drukhari, are... They get minus points for being memed on so hard. It's like Slanesh and the whole sex thing. It's like there's more to them than just torture porn. But not that much more.
Yeah, no. It's like...
So, the thing I love about the Drukhari is they sit in Komara, in the webway, and they backstab each other, and they fuck each other over. And then you have the homunculi, who are like Dr. Frankenstein if he went down a really bad road and just ended up like being like, what would happen if I tortured you for 100 years and mutated your body? They're a little bit like Skaven sometimes, the Drukhari. And Skaven are my all-time like favorite Warhammer faction. But
what do we do this tier list for then?
Well, because we did Warhammer.
Kidding.
We did Warhammer Fantasy last week. And,
I missed that, and I'll have to watch back.
Yeah. It was with Hydra, and Hydra like refused to put the Skaven up very high, and I was like, why you snubbing my boys? Like I love the Skaven so much. I put them in Chaos Lost when it wasn't even the right setting.
True.
I can't put them above the Thousand Suns. I love the Thousand Suns too much.
All right.
For now, it may change depending on how difficult I find the tiering.
All right, continuing the Eldar theme, Craft Worlds, which I feel like isn't a good name for. I know it's legally distinct and all, but I feel like it's not. What does that mean? This is the Craft Worlds army. No, it's Eldar. It's a Craft World Eldar.
I mean, they should have just gone with Eldari, but
isn't there a word for like the Eldar that left? The Eldar that got on Craft Worlds. I thought there was a term for them, and that probably would also be legally distinct. They could have used that.
I think they're just called Craft World Eldari. I think. I know.
It's not a good name. Silly name. Anyway.
I love the Craft Worlds, and I love the look of the Eldar. I really vibe with that kind of almost like you could call them like cyberpunk samurais, weirdly. Just like the sword and the armor and the like warp spiders. Fucking as much as I hate them. Because like I've played quite a number of games of Dawn of War where they will just teleport behind you and rip you apart because they fire tiny little needles like flamethrowers. The swooping hawks, the striking scorpions. I vibe with all of, especially like the older Eldar, how they were like when I was playing. They were so cool, like the gravity gun.
Like the one time I actually properly played some games of 40k, my opponent was a friend that had an Eldar army, and he wiped the floor with me every time. I had Space Marines; they were all grey.
The Space Marines are decent, but
But I learned that the tower slippery bastards, and I hate them.
Yeah, yeah, and the Eldar are fast as hell, and like they always like outflank you and get behind you, and Eldar scouts are awesome. The infiltration and their ability to like deal fuck tons of damage. Let's put them above the Space Wolves to start off with.
The Space Wolves are the new yardstick, and like everything's either better or worse than the Space Wolves.
They were, but let's move the Space Wolves down and the Death Guard up.
Every time. Oh. It's like, before we run out of factions, can the Space Wolves make it to worse?
Like, the thing is it's not even a joke. I'm just slowly like, I do prefer these people to the Space Wolves. The thing I love about the Space Wolf is their Primarch being a dick. Past that, they're not that interesting. I'd probably.
I'm amused at like I kind of expected this entire row is Space Marines except for the part where it's weird titany things,
Which is basically Space Marines.
and then you've got like okay Space Marines and other things, and then you've got good stuff, and it has some Space Marines in it.
I do like the Space Marines. It's just they need something very interesting, like the Dark Angels trying to gain redemption, or the Imperial Fists just being angry toads. That sit at the bottom of a pond and they're just like, I'm not moving. So Craftworld Eldar definitely better than Grey Knights. They're basically like a little bit. They're kind of like Grey Knights but effective. Better than the Chaos Space Marines, and the Salamanders. I think I know where this is. Okay, there's gonna be a little bit of moving around because I just realized it's easier to put the Craftworld Eldar above the Blood Angels, but I can't put them above the Adeptus Sororitas. So if you move the Adeptus Sororitas above the Blood Angels and then the Craftworld Eldar behind the Adeptus Sororitas. So like I love the vibe and everything of the Craftworld Eldar. I don't think the Eldar have been paid much love recently or for a while, so they need some love.
Speaking of Eldar, the Harlequins.
I fucking love Harlequins. They're really cool. I don't know why they have their own codex, but
yeah, it's a bit weird. Isn't it one? Like last I heard, Harlequins were one single unit in the Eldar army, so I don't know why this has happened.
Well, I guess it's because they're like people enjoy them. So effectively, you can take them to Eldar, put them above the Eldar, and then above the Adeptus Sororitas.
Oh.
And then above the Death Watch.
Oh.
And then above the Imperial Fists. Now this is where it gets difficult because you'll notice that
like this is like the elite four of this tier list.
Yeah,
now. It's
it
you
really
approach them
is.
and you're like, can they challenge the four?
So the really cool thing about the Harlequins is that they worship the Laughing God. And they're basically just space jesters who like run about and they're really. I don't think that gives them the interesting things that the Dark Angels and Drukhari have for me. I really like their look and their feel, and I think there's a lot you can do with them, like the Harlequins. But they have, so they're there because of potential, and because something needs to knock the angry toads down a little bit. But they don't go past the Dark Angels. Not quite.
Okay. Now we're getting fully into to Xenos here, but we'll start steady with Gene Stealer cults.
Okay. You can move the Chaos Demons up.
Damn.
Yeah, no, I love Gene Stealers. Gene Stealer cult is just it's humans, but they worship something else, and they got some bumps on their face. They're Buffy vampires, basically. The thing is you take something interesting like the Gene Stealers or the Tyranids, and then you just human it, and they're very generic and boring. So I
didn't think anything could be so crap that it would unseat the Chaos Demons from the bottom of the list.
well, geez,
Black Templars are now only third worst.
I know, right? The Ultramarines are like barely even threatened to be the worst.
Yeah, no, they're doing absolutely fine now.
But you can move the Iron Hands above the Space Wolves.
Oh, oh dear, the poor Space Wolves. They've hit the Space Marine wall now.
Yeah, they have.
Any lower, and they are worse than your average Space Marine. Yeah, it's like it was all about the Primarch before, and now you're like, nah, Primarch's done enough.
One thing I was tempted to do was have the Space Wolves really high, and then just slam the Thousand Suns directly above them.
Like, remember when they were next to the Blood Angels? I can't remember if they were in front or if they started behind.
They were behind the Blood Angels, yeah.
Like, that's how far they've fallen. They were here before.
But yeah, the Gene cult just sucks.
All right. Well, speaking of Gene Stealers, but not sucking, Tyranids.
Oh, my boys! What did you do with my boys? They're so shit in the current meta, the current like 40k.
Oh, no. I thought we were just talking about turning them into Gene Stealer cults, not that they'd actually been ruined.
No, they like the Tyranids were scary once upon a time to fight against, and now they're just like, yeah, whatever. I'll put them. We can take them to the second row behind the Death Guard.
Okay.
And you can move the Space Wolves below the Space Marines. Like, just for the record, at this point, it is a joke and it is a meme. I'm just fucking the Space Wolves over.
Okay.
Like
at this point, how could Tyranids have made you make that choice? How could they even have? They're just like, Tyranids. You know what this makes me think? The Space Wolves are worse than your average Space Marine.
So yeah, the Tyranids are better than Death Guard and the Grey Knights. And the Chaos Space Marines, definitely. I do like them more than the Salamanders and the Adeptus Custodes. Do they beat out the Adeptus Mechanicus? Yeah, they do. Yeah. See, the Tyranids being like, so you could argue very easily that the Tyranids are like the Chaos Demons in that they're kind of personality black holes. You know, they have no personality or anything like that. But they've got a really cool, like, unstoppable horde vibe.
Yeah.
That I really like. And they're like whether you're talking about like a small, like, you know, small inverted commas, you know, splinter fleet, or like a fucking just Tyranid horde, you know, of Hive fleet. That it's like you get the feeling of like existential dread and horror and just, you know, like this fucking unstoppable eating bastards.
Yeah, they don't need a personality because they're a natural disaster.
Yeah. And I'll go into the Astra Militarum a bit later, like why they're probably gonna stay at the top. Although I can't guarantee that, unfortunately, because Bentham saved something for last, and you know, I've got a few boys, and
of course.
yes, the Tyranids are better than the Blood Angels, and the Craftworld Eldar, and the Adeptus Sororitas. And also the Craftworld Eldar are better than the Adeptus Sororitas.
Oh. It
was harder to put them past the Eldar there. And the Space Marines, the Space Wolves are worse than the Chaos Knights, definitely. Tyranid's better than Death Watch. I have to stay true to my boys, and like the Death Watch fight the Tyranids. And I prefer the Tyranids. They're better than the Imperial Fists and the Harlequins.
They're the Elite Four.
They've got to the gap. Yeah, they're better than Dark Angels. Yeah. God damn! I didn't think anything would drop my boys to the 5th, but I love the Tyranids. They're so interesting. Like the Biovores, the Raveners, the Hive Tyrants, the fucking Carnifexes. Like this, just speaking purely as a GM, there's so much fun shit you can do with them.
Yeah.
And like, at the end of the day, any Space Marine chapter is still Space Marines, and they're kind of boring, even if they're interesting. They don't go past the Drukhari though. Like, Drukhari have a lot of personality in that they will, drug and torture you and be horrible assholes, whereas the Tyranids will just devour you, and so it's not quite as interesting.
All right. We'll do the Tau. I feel like they're not going to go far, but then I'm not sure.
So
I've never heard you talk about the Tau, so I feel like that means you probably don't care for them much, but I don't know.
So the meme in 40k is that the Tau suck, and it's true for the tabletop, for the mini game, the war game. The Tower.
I've heard there's some horrible stuff you could do with the Tau. Like this may be way out of date though. I remember there was a problem where like they could get 2 carriers and put them in front of the troops, and it gave them cover, but didn't give the enemy cover, and then they would just annihilate you with 1,000,000 guns and stuff. But
well, so
that was like
the
many
point
editions ago.
The point of the Tau is they don't do melee at all, and they're really good shooters as long as you can't see them. So the Tau very often, like, they either get you before you get to them or you've won.
Right.
But the Tau are really cool because they have so much lore that has not been touched in the tabletop, which pisses me off. There's so many different races in the Tau, like so many interesting different, like the Demiurge.
And the closest thing to the good guys, but they've still got their problems. So it's not just like it's not goody two shoes. It's like it's better than that.
Yeah, there's a possibility that the Tau are just brainwashing everyone, or at least the Ethereum.
Yeah, no,
the
I guess
well.
Yeah, everyone seems just so happy to join them all the time.
So,
but is that just because they're the closest thing to, like, not a horrible oppressive empire like pretty much every other faction?
Yeah, the problem with the Tau is they're really out of place in 40k because they have just like a completely different vibe to all the other factions. So I would say put them just above the Space Wolves. And then move the Space Wolves down 1.
Oh.
There we go.
It's got wonky. Iron Hands are moving up.
Okay, there we go. So the Space Wolves are just above the Ultramarines. But no, I think put the Tau just above the Space Marines. Just because, like, they like there's a lot of interesting lore for the Tau. The problem is I can't put them any higher because all of the interesting lore is superfluous to the tabletop and to what's like, you don't see much of it very often. You don't see all the different alien races that make up the Tau Empire and stuff because they just focus on the robots, and the robots are super uninteresting. So they don't go any further than that.
All right, the Necrons.
Oh god, I'm so torn with the Necrons, where I'm like, they're really cool and they've got some really cool, but I hate the whole, like, I hate it when because the really interesting thing about the Tyranids is they're an unstoppable horde of like terror and death and like consumption. The Necrons are scary because you kill them and then they come back. Which and like they, you know, but they're not really scary. You know, like it's difficult. I might just chuck them in with the Tau, like just above the Space Marines. I don't really like if we're going by certain Necron characters. There are some Necron characters that I will mess with like hard, but I know it's difficult. Let me. So, Necrons, Tau. I mean, Iron Hands. Yeah, okay, yeah. Put the Space Wolves below the Ultramarines. The Necrons. Such a crappy setup for the joke, but so worth it. So I don't think I can do the Necrons dirty and put them below the Tau. Because the Necrons have super interesting characters, and they've been fleshed out more recently from what I've heard. Whereby they used to just be like soulless machines that wanted to kill and stuff, and now they actually have like goals and interests and stuff. So like they're not just Tyranids but robots, if you know what I mean. I'd say put them above the Iron Hands and the... You know what? I'm gonna do the best I can for the Necrons, because I know people like them, and I do like them, but also they're kind of put them just above the Chaos Space Marines, and there they shall stay.
There we go. Pretty much dead middle, alongside the Salamanders. If I know, yeah, the Necrons are dead middle, making certain assumptions about this final one.
I mean, you can take them to the top list, and at the end by the Craft World Eldar, and we'll figure it out from there.
I feel like this is the Pokemon analogy continued here. He's fought his way through the whole place. He's on the final set.
Yeah.
How far can the orcs go?
Like I love the orcs, and everyone knows that. So I think, yeah, because this
we
is
need to do a little bit of scrolling, just.
So this is, it's easier to put the orcs above the Death Watch than the Craft World Eldar. So I think they both go ahead of the Death Watch.
Oh.
And the Space Wolves go below the White Scars. Thank you. The orcs are definitely better than the Craft World Eldar and the Imperial Fists and the Harlequins.
It's an Elite 4+ champion now.
Oh god. Oh fuck. I'm really worried that people in chat are losing their shit about me continually moving the Space Wolves down. Oh god, because I love the Dark Angels, but the orcs are just so fucking awesome. And like okay, so this is the thing. Dark
Angels are great and all, but can they crump? How good are they at the crumping?
It's not even that. It's
They're just
also,
Yumis.
It's also the fact that I can take an aspect of the orcs to wit squigs, and they're already, just with squigs, they're more interesting than Dark Angels. So they're above the Dark Angels.
Okay. There it is.
And the Space Wolves are below the Raven Guard.
Yeah, of course.
So the Tyranids. I mean, like, this is the thing: is Tyranids and Orcs are very, very similar in that they're like an unstoppable horde for different reasons.
Yeah, when you pit them against each other, it's great.
Well, have you heard the story of how the 40k like setting ends?
Is it Tyrannorcs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting story. Also, the orcs could destroy like the entire galaxy if they, were organized or stopped.
Yeah, if they set their mind to it, yeah.
If they stopped fighting themselves. Yeah,
if they believed it was theirs, it would happen.
I enjoy the Tyranids. But the orcs are Tyranids with personality and like interesting, which actually moves the Tyranids below the Dark Angels as well. Thinking about it, and definitely moves the Space Wolves below the Black Templars.
Yeah. Makes sense.
The orcs are better than Drukhari. I love the Drukhari, but it's these top three are gonna be the really important ones. So the question is, do I stay loyal to my Dust Boys, or do the orcs go up above them? Goddamn. Like, I love the Thousand Sons. They're one of my favorite factions. But the orcs are... The orcs are so much fun. I feel like if the orcs didn't exist, 40k would be a lot less interesting.
That's true.
But the Thousand Sons are like really interesting faction who got fucked over and they tried and Magnus did nothing wrong, which is a meme. You know what? You know what? Just for that meme, put the Space Wolves below the Chaos Demons.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the orcs do just past the Thousand Sons.
All right, orcs versus Imperial Guard.
Imperial Guard, like the Imperial Guard.
Okay,
win.
yeah.
Like I'd love to turn it into this really dramatic, like put the Space Wolves below the Genestealer cult.
Yeah.
So like I'd love to turn it into this big dramatic kind of, who will win, but the reason, aside from all of the really like diverse and interesting Imperial Guard regiments, like without the Imperial Guard, 40k would be nothing. Like the thing.
Yeah, you need the just dudes with like torches to be in the middle of it. Go like for the points of comparison. Otherwise, Space Marines would be a baseline and everything would be boring.
Yeah, and like the Space Marines are cool in that they're like super powerful, ultra like super warriors. But you don't get like a sense of fear from any of these other factions. The Adeptus Sororitas have their faith. They maintain strong. All the Space Marine chapters, they fight the enemy and blah. But the fucking Imperial Guard, like they're terrified all the time. Yeah, and also like I love the Imperial Guard and the Orcs and the Thousand Sons and probably Drukhari and Dark Angels, almost all about the same. The thing is like the immense diversity of personality in the Imperial Guard, like I was talking about before, just means like the Orcs just lose out. The Thousand Sons are essentially Space Marines, like Chaos Space Marines, but they're still Space Marines. Like, they've got interesting lore and backstory, but they don't have as much personality. Which actually, God, I'm going to move the Drukhari above the Thousand Sons. I don't want to. But the Drukhari have...
I was feeling it coming on there. I'm like, he's talking way too negatively about Thousand Sons for an Elite Four member here.
The Drukhari have more personality than the Thousand Sons for me. I didn't.
I mean, they have a person, whereas the Thousand Sun is just a suit full of dust.
The
It's hard to have personality when you are just a
dust
cloud.
in the wind. The Thousand Suns are really cool, but the Drukhari, yeah, like super interesting. That also reminds me. There's a joke story thing where there's three commissars from different regiments sitting at a bar talking.
I feel like I've heard this, but I've forgotten it entirely.
Oh, really? They're discussing which of their regiments is the most badass, and it's the commissar from the Cadian says like like, look at my guys, they fight they fight demons every day, and you know, they hold back the warp from the Eye of Terror. And then the Kriegsman is like, look at my guys, they fight in you know, nuclear winters and hold the line regardless of anything else. And then the Katachan commissar says, well, oh yeah, well, check this out. Hey guys, do 100 push-ups. And the Katachans go, fuck off. Yeah, you know, it's yeah, like I enjoy the joke of the commissars being the most scary thing that an Imperial Guardsman will ever face. I think I'm happy with that. Let me just think over. You know what? There's one adjustment I think that needs to be made here.
Mm-hmm.
And it surprisingly, it's not moving the Space Wolves into another category below called Space Wolves. The Adeptus.
If you want, I can make a Space Wolves category that is.
Oh yes, please. I would very much appreciate that.
There we go.
So I think the Death Watch can't be in my top. I like them, but I would prefer the Adeptus Sororitas up there.
Ah.
The Adeptus Sororitas are more interesting than the Death. The Death Watch are cool.
There we go.
But again, it's yeah. Oh God, no! Death Watch are moving down. Like, I love them. They're really interesting. But they're like it's the Space Hulk for me. That like vibe and that feel, and that's not enough to keep them above the Blood Angels, the Adeptus Mechanicus, or the Adeptus Custodes.
Oh, Jesus.
So they're dropping. They're dropping.
They thought they were safe. They thought it was over. They were in the top row, happy to be there. Now they're halfway down the middle row.
So the non-meme location of the Space Wolves is probably just above the Salamanders. Well, but I don't think they're better than Necrons or Chaos Space Marines, really.
It's going through the whole process again.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. The Space Wolves don't deserve to be as far down as I put them, but because I kept doing it as I thought about it, I was just like, yeah, no. So I think the Death Guard do move up above the Grey Knights. They're more interesting than the Grey Knights to me.
Yeah, there we go.
I think the Chaos Space Marines and the Necrons move above the Death Watch and past the Salamanders. Because, like, I still do maintain that Chaos Space Marines are more interesting in general than Space Marines. Because
Death Watch are now exactly average. Well, the Salamanders are actually, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, or the Space Wolves even. I forget what exactly one of those, but if we put
Well,
it, Space Wolves are exactly average.
the Space Wolves are exactly where they deserve to be. You can't. This is for all of you jocks out there in existence. You can't be an asshole and expect some random dude to put you at the bottom of a tier list. Yeah, Space Wolves. I like them. They're okay, but they're nothing special at the same time. So they'd probably be around Death Watch, Salamander like tier. I don't.
Okay, so either Death Watch or Space Wolf is the exact average.
Yeah.
Only right for Space Marines of some kind to be in the middle.
In the middle. Well, there were a lot.
There's like a Space Marine cluster around the centered area.
On the second and third column, row.
Yeah. Well, they take a break for a second, and then it's a bit rocky because there's Titans and stuff, and then you get back to Space Marines again.
Yeah. I think I'm happy with that actually. I don't know whether I'll. No, I can't do it. Thousand Suns above the Drukhari. I can't
abandon your dusty boys.
Like this is the thing is personal preference, and I put the Drukhari above because I'm like they have more personality, and they're more interesting, and like there's a lot to them. But at the end of the day, I love the Thousand Suns. My Dust Boys are like they're my favorite Space Marine chapter, aside from one which isn't in here. And I'll tell you what, if that chapter was in here, they'd probably be number one.
Oh damn! So, which one?
The Alpha Legion. I love the Alpha Legion. They're fucking awesome. I've even used them.
They're the corny boys, right?
No, that's the World Eaters.
Oh.
So the Alpha Legion are the guys who may not have turned to chaos, but may also have turned to chaos, and also.
Oh, no one's sure.
Well, they are sure because they joined Horus in the Horus Heresy, but there's a theory that they did that on purpose, and it's also possible that all the Primarchs got thrown away into space, and the Emperor.
Yeah, they all got yeeted all over the shop.
So there's a theory that that Alfarius and Omegan, who are the dual Primarch twins of the Alpha Legion, actually never got thrown away.
Oh.
And they were actually with the Emperor the whole time. There's also a theory that they had a meeting with some Eldar and other races who knew things, and were basically like, Horus needs to win the Horus Heresy to make humanity basically fall so that the Chaos Gods will die. So it's possible, well, because humanity fuels the Chaos Gods.
Yeah, basically everything the Imperium does, it just makes the Chaos Gods stronger. They're really terrible at it.
Yeah. So if Horus had won the Horus Heresy, it's possible and fairly likely that it would have resulted in the end of the Imperium and the death of humanity. But
that consequently would have wiped out the Chaos Gods.
Yes. And so it's possible that that's why the Alpha Legion joined Horus in the Horus Heresy, because they were told that, and so they were like, okay, for the greater good.
Was there a part of the plan that resulted in humans existing ultimately, or?
No, I don't think so.
No, they're just like, yeah, no, humans were a mistake. Let's just reset.
So yeah, the Alpha Legion I find really interesting, and if they were in this, they may have gone above the Astra Militarum just because it's personal preference. The same way I put the Thousand Suns above the Drukhari. Although I
mean it's your tier list.
I flip flopped on things a little bit, but the only thing that is rock solid in this tier list is Imperial Guard are fucking awesome. Come at me. Mm. We talked about this when we did our like 12-hour conversation after the last ditch. My favorite quote from the Imperial Guard is, if the enemy has 1,000 bullets, send 1,001 men, which I love as a quote, and is basically the quote I used to build the idea for the Evergreen Legion. But yeah, there we go. If you would be so kind, Bentham, once we switch over, to take a screen grab or save that.
Yep, we'll do.
That tier list. We'll switch back over to just the Wandering Inn and the everything. That's the tier list, guys, and that's the show. I don't want to keep Bentham forever. This actually went on a bit longer than
it did. Yeah, no, I was like, we started like an hour and a half in with the tier list, and then like I blinked and we were at like 9:45. I was like, oh, neat.
Yeah. I'd kind of like to get you on to do your own tier list of some kind, because it's a lot of fun. It's torture, but
It is, yeah.
Like,
well, I'm glad it was you rather than me, because I was like, some of these I just don't know. I don't know half the Space Marine chapters and that kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
Basically, I can rank the factions if they appear in Dawn of War. That's how I know like stuff about them enough to make a judgment.
There's probably a Dawn of War tier list. Like Dawn of War faction tier list, to be honest. But
it's a pretty quick one though, because there's only
it's not as many.
10 across the 2 games that I know. I don't know what happened with Dawn of War 3. I don't think anyone wants to know or really think about that.
No, the Dawn of War 3 doesn't really exist. But yeah, the Dawn of War game has just enough factions to fill a party boat. So.
Oh dear.
Thank you very much, Bentham, for coming on to do this. Yeah, as I said, I'd like to bring you on, and so you can do your own tier listing of something. We'll have to find something you adore, like
I don't know.
Something Star Trek maybe, or.
Oh yeah, you could do starships maybe, but still I don't like. I don't know.
Like favorite episodes,
Bionicle or something. That's always my like, go-to. That's the one like well of knowledge I possess that no one has ever cared about. Is I know all about Bionicle.
Something that could also get you cancelled. Your favorite doctors from Doctor Who.
Oh, okay. Oh dear. I mean, I can only rank the new ones because I don't really know much about the old ones. I never watched any of that.
Yeah.
Like apart from like a couple of the specials, so I could maybe make a vague judgment about some, but overall it would be. And I'm not even up to date. I haven't watched the last like season or so.
Well, who has?
Like most people.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it'd be cool, like, because as you go, it's like the whole
Game of Thrones characters. I know a lot about that.
Oh yeah, I do like Game of Thrones.
Steven Universe characters. There's a few different things we could do characters of from things.
I was gonna do like ages back. Me and Tash were gonna do a stream of us tier listing Twilight characters.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Why would you subject yourself to that?
Wow, for entertainment. But we were gonna do Game of Thrones as well.
Follow.
But yeah, it's really interesting because you end up realizing as you try and you instead of just saying this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, making them fight against each other in your head. As you go, you realize that the Space Wolves suck. But no, as you go, you're kind of forced to like really think about which you prefer as opposed to where you rank them. So you end up making a lot of changes, and like I was expecting the Drukhari to beat the Thousand Suns, but I just couldn't do it because I was like, no, I prefer the, like, myself personally, I prefer the Thousand Suns. So yeah, everyone go check out Roll for It and Bentham's Mangled Pork. Go check out Mangled Pork on YouTube.
Oh dear. Oh, and Twitch as well. I forget. You know,
And
I'm
Twitch,
also on
yeah,
Twitch.
yeah. He does a I don't know whether you mentioned it while I was getting a drink, but he does a really cool. Is it Saturdays or Fridays now? I think it's Fridays, right?
Both. We couldn't decide.
Right. So it's either Friday or Saturday or both. It's kind of like a co-op gaming thing with Rick and Fuzzy and Josh and Bentham, which I used to be on.
Bar Trauma recently. I designed my own sub from scratch, and we've been using it, and it's better than the other ones.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I used to come in and join with you guys on that, but I just don't have the reason to, I guess, because I don't stream or record games anymore. We did play we did play some Foxhole on that, which was we had a lot of fun.
I'm still editing the very first VOD of Foxhole, not the first one with you and Peachy.
Yeah.
But the first one when the Saturday crew started playing Foxhole, I'm still editing it. I was looking at it the other day and making some more tweaks. It's ridiculous.
Jeez.
It's not going to be worth it. It's never going to make me back, like, you know, the money equivalent to the time spent on editing it, but I want to.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I've had a few, like, it's like the stick fight video I put together for my sheep cuts.
Oh yeah, with the individual tracking on all the bullets.
Yeah.
Madman.
That shit took me like an hour to figure out how to do, and like 30 to 40 minutes to actually do, and it's about 5 seconds of footage. But the thing is, I learned a lot, and it made me laugh, so fuck it. So we're going off to the outro, which is where our images go away from the screen, and the Wandering In music starts up again. So, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll be back on Monday with Tessachka, OMG Vandy, and Tashnar for more Sunkissed. Next week on the Wandering In Bar Brawl, we will be having Peachy Pixel 8 in, who's going to talk about his TTRPG stuff, and also do a tier list of some kind. So
today we had MS, and next week it'll be PS.
Yes.
There you go. And if you weren't around, it would be MP.
MP?
Or PM.
So yes, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you Monday, see you next week. More things coming as I am trying desperately to get organized. And I don't know. Bye.
Bye.